Hello, everyone, and welcome to State of the Realm. All right, I'm taking a break from Final Fantasy 16 just to give you guys a show. I didn't do it last week. I forgot to do it last week. We're here now. We're talking about the raid tier, which is only like 16 days old, and it feels like it's been out for I don't even know how long for me. Yeah, we're just going to be talking about that today, going over Anabasios Savage. So, I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Happy. Of course, joining me is Sly. What's going on, Sly? How you doing?
I am here. I exist. I'm doing okay.
That's
okay.
it. You exist.
I exist.
Here, so you don't get fined.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's all right.
March on Lynch.
Yeah. No, that's fine, Sly. So make yourself a drink, get comfy, because we got a lot to talk about today.
No, don't drink today. I mean, it's all back there. I got some strawberry lemonade.
Okay, that's fine. That's a drink still, just not an alcoholic one. All right. And of course, we had to bring on some guests, some fellow raiders to talk about this latest tier. So joining us again, first time in a while, actually, we have Sfia. How you doing, Sfia?
Hey. I'm doing good.
Did you look so surprised, like I wasn't going to say your name?
I don't know. It's 5 a.m. All right. I'm grabbing coffee. We're doing fantastically.
Why would you do that to yourself?
I don't know. It's worse now that I've moved to Australia, right? It used to be like either 7 or 9 a.m. that I'd be on the show with you, but now it's like 5 or 7. So the things I do for you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
No, always a pleasure to be here. You know that.
And also returning, I don't remember the last time you were on either. We have Woops. Hi, Woops.
It's been a minute. Hi, what's up?
Hey.
Nothing much. That's it.
Just woke up. Got some coffee as well. I'm so unique.
I hate feeling, you all make me feel 10 years older. Every time. All of you.
What, really?
Everyone's like, oh, I'm waking up at 11. I'm up at 5 in the morning. I'm just like, I wake up at 5 in the morning.
Listen, man. Got some things to do on Destiny. It takes till like 3 or 4 a.m., okay?
Does it have to take till 3 or 4 a.m., or do you want it to take?
Unfortunately, it does.
Jesus Christ. Well, I was going to introduce you as now Destiny 2 streamer and Final Fantasy 14 part-timer Whoops, but I forgot to do that. I was going to do that.
With how the content comes out, it's weird to say that Destiny actually has more things to do right now than Final Fantasy. But that's probably because I'm joining late, so...
Yeah. I'd imagine somebody who's been playing Destiny 2 for the last however many years might disagree.
Oh, yeah.
But that'd be the same with 14.
It's actually, it's only because I'm new. But there's so much to do.
But that's good. I'm glad I could pull you away from waking up and immediately logging in just to do this.
Oh, please do. Please pull me away. Please.
All right. Well, don't want to take too long to get into the topic. So real quick, just thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you for supporting. You don't have to. You choose to. And Sly and I, we appreciate it. So thank you to that. And, of course, Steel Series, Advanced GG, both of you, thank you as well for supporting the show. So.
Now.
Yeah.
It's
dude, it's only been 17 days since this came out. Why does it feel like so long ago to me?
Must have been a rough couple weeks. What have you been up to?
I went to LA and I've been playing the 16 demo for the past 4 days.
Ah, you traveled. That's what it was.
I traveled. It's an hour plane flight. It's not like...
Listen, going to the airport takes like at least a month off your life, in my opinion.
Going to LAX takes a month off your life at the very least.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
But no, SFO and Oakland are both. It's like a week at most, I think. But even still, it just feels so long ago. Sly, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, see, like I have for all of us present, I have a unique perspective here. As you know, I decided to sit out and not PF until I get people I trust. So I kind of feel like I'm going to be kind of moderating this, seeing as how all of you have done the content. I've done normal, but that's the extent. And again, I'm waiting for people I trust. So I kind of want to lead into this with starting off with, this being the final raid tier, the final bit of raid content we're getting for the expansion. How did you guys feel about it? Where do you think it stacks up in terms of final tiers?
Go ahead, Sfia, because I'm gonna info dump here when you're done.
Ooh, boy.
Okay. In terms of final tiers, I think Promise was really good. So that set a really high bar, in my opinion. I think Final Omega, that tier, Alphascape, I think it was a little worse than that. So it's pretty hard to not be better than that. And then before that, you're kind of looking at the old design of things. So I don't really tend to compare things to Back in Heaven's Ward and Realm Reborn these days. But of those three, I would say this is probably... I mean, it's still week 3, right? So my opinion is that of someone who's only done these raids a few times at this point. And we all know that when things are recent, we generally think of them a little more highly. The 7 months of farming this haven't hit in yet, so I'm still having fun. I actually enjoy these fights. I think it's a really good tier overall. And I'm going to put the big disclaimer on that it is still week 3, though. This opinion may drastically go downhill. I know that this was a big problem in the previous tier, Abyssos. A lot of people thought, oh, great, there's so much unique, innovative stuff going on in this tier. And then, it took maybe a month and the cracks started showing.
It took like a week for Abyssos. Don't lie to yourself.
Well, it depended how much good you wanted to see in the tier, I suppose. But this one feels like it has a lot of good. Overall, I think it's a pretty solid tier, like an 8. Tentative 8, which for me is high praise.
And Promise is a 9 or a 10, I'd assume.
Yeah,
Okay.
8.5, 9. Yeah.
Okay.
Fair.
And Haps we'll go with you before we get to the info dump from Whoops. Yeah, how are you feeling?
It won't be that
your
long.
experience, that's fine.
Sfia basically he summed up exactly what I was thinking. Previous final expansion turns, like I really don't know if anybody else can share this sentiment, but I did not feel that wow factor from phase 2 of P12. Am I alone in that? Like, I really thought, like, not talking about mechanically or like how the fight worked or like the timeline or like how it felt to play certain jobs, just like literally the transition into what the final phase was. I was like, wow, that's it. And then like the song just put me to sleep. I had to mute it and put on my own music. I never looked up at the boss. I was like, oh, she's slamming a tentacle again. Wow. And it looks exactly like the first phase, but she's got like some stuff behind it. I don't know. It didn't wow me.
My take on that is I did feel the same. And I think it's largely because at this point we expect the door boss. It was cool and promised because you're like, oh shit, look, it's a door boss. But and the previous years before that didn't have that. But now it's just like, we're getting a door boss, and then of course we're getting another door boss for the final tier.
Yeah.
And when you expect it, it slows the quality a bit for me.
Mechanically, though,
I don't expect them.
Mechanically, I thought this tier was fantastic. I thought every one of the fights was very fun. Phase 2 being the weakest out of the 5, I guess. Like creatively. Yeah. I didn't think there was that much puzzle solving IMO for P2. At least difficulty wise. I expected it to be more difficult.
I think that
seeing
changes,
how phase 1 was.
I think that changes if you do Pangenesis blind versus a little behind people. I mean,
like, yeah, still.
I don't think it's that crazy. It's not making a Phoenix in like P8 kind of.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel that. Yeah.
And we'll get into the fights and mechanics a little bit later. But Haps, you?
I guess I'll use Sfia's judgment of the last 3 tiers. I agree with Alphascape. I think I like Alphascape more than other people do, other than Final Omega doing the Stormblood thing of repeating the second half of the fight, which is my #1 biggest complaint of Stormblood final boss design. It's like, oh, you've done 50% of the fight. You've done the whole fight. And it's just like, ugh, just don't like that. That being said, yeah, definitely the lowest of the 3. Promise is a little tough for me to judge versus this one. Because
Promise was sick.
Yeah. And the problem is, if I were to try to look at, I have to try to treat Anabasios as if Promise didn't exist, and Promise existing lowers Anabasios' score strictly because of the 3rd fight. Because Fatebreaker came first, and like I imagine if this came before Fatebreaker, I like the thought would be reversed. in a sense. I'd be like, oh, Fate Breaker's just like, so it's like it's cheating a little bit, you know. That being said, I still think this is one of the best final tiers that we've had, and a much welcome change of overall feeling after Abyssos. I was so glad just that it didn't feel like Abyssos even in week 1, because that was Abyssos I don't like as a tier. I like a few things about it, and this Asphodelos I loved, which makes Abyssos stand out even more, like across the whole expansion. It's just crazy how much Abyssos fell flat for me. But yeah, I share the sentiment of the second boss to some degree. Although I actually like the music, the Evilise stuff. You know, like I
imagine if you liked the Evilise stuff, it was probably like, oh, cool. But
and her voice lines are 10 out of 10 in the whole time.
Absolutely. That's probably a side note I should add. That is that like I really like Orbone Monastery. I have no idea what the hell's going on there, or for the rest of the raid series, but yeah.
Every time the P12 boss talks in phase 1 and in phase 2, I'm just like laughing.
It's like a reference, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah. So she says the things Thunder God Sid says. She says the things Ultima said. She quotes a bunch of them. But just the way she says it though, specifically in phase 2, cracks me up. Only I.
Her voice lines were so campy, right?
Yeah, they were so over the top.
She was I could not help but laugh every time.
Yeah, but that made the tier. It goes to show, like, I think that actually makes the tier almost win for Promise over me, only because like with Promise we really only have 11 and 12 being voiced, and that's like some of the best memories of Promise is Fatebreaker yelling whore. And
Hibachi.
Like there's it's such a memory. It adds like such an element, and that's and this whole tier being voiced gives it that feel, because like I'm Pandemonium and these are my cells.
I love the voice acting in all the fights actually.
Yeah. Like everyone remembers the fights from the voices from the thing, and it just adds that layer that's not mechanical. It's not visual. It embellishes the whole thing. So I think that alone, if I were to just judge it not solely based on mechanics, would push it above Promise for me. But I think mechanically and actual fight design-wise, I think Promise has to pull ahead still. Especially because Fatebreaker came before Ellentill. That's like a huge reason.
Totally get that. I do want to say that when you're talking about Abyssos being bad, and I don't even know how to say this.
Anabasios.
Anabasios.
Yeah.
And Anabasios.
Sure.
And a banana. Yeah.
Yes. I feel like part of why Abyssos sucked contributed to this tier being good, particularly in the third floor. You've got a war boss with a really unique flaw where they just missed the mark, right? The big tree sucked. Right? Everybody knows that fight was cool for like 3 days, and then like, hang on a second, this fight is actually pretty bad. And they kind of took the lessons learned from that fight, put it in the second fight of this tier in P10, and actually created a really unique and fun encounter, I think. People hate that because it's hard, but I think it's really fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my next question. Sfia, you said it's kind of difficult to compare tiers from other expansions because of design. One thing I did want to ask is, it's semi-fair to compare difficulty, however, and how long it took you to prog certain fights. So, how would all of you feel about the difficulty between? Let's start with this tier of Panda and the other tiers of Panda, and then overall, now that we have all the tiers, difficulty prog-wise from this set of Savages versus other expansions.
Man, that's tough. Prog difficulty is so hard to like. I like it's you kind of remember it, but then it starts to fade into like the reclears, and like it get kind of.
I mean, there recency bias will be a thing. I kind of feel, but try to be as fair as you can.
Okay. I feel like this tier was really kind of the most endwalker of all fights that we've had so far, especially in terms of the design philosophies they have and the way that they do fights, which is figure out like a very cryptic and unintuitive mechanic. And sometimes you'll be looking at specific visuals and then stand and spot and watch mechanic resolve. happens a lot. And that didn't used to be the case. A lot of the times fights felt more interactive previously, like way back in the past. It felt like you had more agency over the fight. Now it's like you do what the fight tells you as opposed to you control how the fight goes. Now, that's a different type of, I guess, design than previous. So I find it really difficult to compare, like, oh, which one was more difficult when you've got really, like, fundamentally different fights and complete designs. But if you compare it to the more recent things, I guess, like, Promise is probably the most obvious. They're still pretty similar. They're trending towards Endwalker design in Promise, but it's still not quite there. I think Promise was easier outside of Lions, but everything else in this tier, I think in the last fight particularly, was harder. I think this is probably the hardest second floor we've had since Blaster and Brawler, the boys. It's been a really long time since people have actually been walled on a second boss. So that was a pretty big slap in the face to a lot of people in terms of what they had to overcome to get past. I think the third fight was easy. It may just be because my group had it just meshed really well with our group. We smoked that fight.
I remember seeing how many pulls you guys had on the third fight. We were like, wow.
Yeah, it was like
it was less than 20, wasn't it?
Something. Yeah. It was real quick. And the first fight feels really slow, and then it has what feels like a really out-of-place difficult mechanic, and then it feels really slow again. So it's like the difficulty is all over the place, in my opinion. It feels like there's parts where it's like ridiculously hard, and then parts where it's kind of easy and cruisy, as opposed to the more continuous like flow that I think Promise had overall.
Yeah. I would say that you could define this tier as every fight has 2 hurdles, and those define how quick you get through. Like,
yep.
The first fight has LC1 and LC2. LC2 is not hard, but it absolutely gets people more than you think it would for what it is. You have Bonds 3 and Harrowing Hell for 10. I'd say those are the super big hurdles. Although you could probably see lasers.
Bonds 3 is the cannons, or are you talking about cannons or no?
Bonds 3 is where it's just a half room and then the spreads and then the bits fire the lasers. It's a disaster. Yep. Every time I see it, it's a disaster. Like the number of groups that you have to heal or LB through Bonds 3 and then have to do Harrowing Hell like normally is very high.
I actually got sent a clip yesterday of Harrowing Hell of a team failing to make the wall, and then the healers rescued each other as the knockback happened, and then they LB3'd after.
Yeah. I was wondering that yesterday. I didn't
know you could do that, but I watched a clip of it happen. I went, wow.
Gamers. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You can also do the usual, like, have a healer jump off and try to do that whole thing. But, you don't want to have to, but, you can. Because
desensitized fish.
What happened?
Which they disabled. Desensitized fish or repair items.
You can cancel the knockback with
Yeah, that was.
How many people got banned for that? Like,
wait, people actually got banned for it?
Yeah, they posted a list, didn't they?
Okay, I didn't see that one, but that's really funny.
They were like, "Don't do it."
Yeah, for anyone who's wondering what happened, there was a clip before Savage came out of normal mode, where people just completely mitigated the knockback of Harrowing Hell by desynthesizing a fish in the middle of the fight. It just canceled. It just stopped it from happening for some reason, and they got banned.
Yeah, so any of the knockbacks which cause you to do like the tumble over yourself instead of just the standard like knockback and slide could be negated by forcing yourself into some other animation, whether it be repairing or desynthesizing, something like that, right? I think even melding materia did it. But all of those things, you just didn't have to interact with that mechanic anymore, which was pretty unintended. And I think that probably works for a lot of other ones in the game. So don't do that. You will get banned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the unintended, going back to Heavensward. Remember Fluidoron Manipulator?
Oh, when the boss would go flying around?
Yeah, you could actually knock back Manipulator by using Fluidoron.
That was for like a really short amount of time, right? It was with one small micro patch, and then it was gone the next one. So there was like a period of 2 weeks where you could just knock the boss around the arena, and then it was gone.
It was so stupid. Yeah, but honestly, I guess just Dark and Light is probably the only real major hurdle on the third fight. and I wouldn't say that the first, because there's like a dance at the beginning with all the clones. There's a dance at the end with all the clones. I wouldn't really call those hurdles though. It's more like just a mechanic, I guess.
Yeah, there was like, I guess, 3 different mechanics that you needed to understand both the flavors for, right?
Yeah.
For that third turn, and if you conceptually understood those, you could do the rest of the fight, like in one shot, which is, I assume, what happened with Sfia's team, right?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Figuring out the tethers was the only bit where we were like, oh, we have to stop and think about this. Everything else was just like, oh, yeah, do this. It's
Yep.
done. One pull.
Yep. That's partners. That's out. That's in. That's yep.
Yeah, like please just give us light. Just give us light. I don't want to
Give
do
us
parts.
light,
Just give
dude.
us light.
Light was so much easier than dark.
Just give us light. I will say that P12 is like almost every mechanic after the first one is a hurdle for a majority, majority
No,
of people.
Door Boss was amazing.
Yeah. Very, very good.
Super good. Like, I loved the tilt mechanic.
Oh, the light and dark tilts. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
The towers. Yeah.
The
Oh, yeah.
the dark and the light vulns, basically. However, whatever people called them. That was very cool.
It's funny
Love
because I
that.
expected that to be in 11. Like that, when I saw the mechanic in 12, I was like, I thought that's what 11 was gonna like. I thought that was gonna be the whole theme of the fight, not just the tethers.
I thought that fight when we were doing the normal modes was gonna be a lot of super chain bullshit, just like chains everywhere, just like constantly going from spot to spot, dodging AoEs. It kind of was, but once you recognize the patterns, the real hard part was the tilt stuff and the towers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that mesh actually ended up being really fun.
One thing I will say about the door boss particularly is that it was the first time that I actually felt like Endwalker hitboxes were properly utilized with like smart usage of the arena and taking away aspects of the arena and forcing you into certain areas and things like that while still having a big boss hitbox. It felt really useful as opposed to, we just made the boss hitbox big so we can force you to do a big chariot. That's it. Now this time it was like, oh, we're actually, creating innovative ways to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, that's probably the biggest shining point about the door boss for me. Like the bit where you've got the last towers before limit cut, that bit there in particular, like, oh, this is why Endwalker bosses are like this.
Or
when
should
you've got
have
people
been.
going all the way to north and south. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I did like that because as a melee, there wasn't a single job or role or mechanic I ever had to do in that fight where I had to, no matter what, completely break contact with the boss. And that wasn't
that fight and get
that wasn't
waylines
just like
from
a
Super Chain
mechanical
1.
thing, but yeah.
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 Yeah. And also a decently executed limit cut phase as well. Although I will say, we'll talk about it a little bit later.
The ad phase was a little...
There's a little jank to it.
Yeah.
Tiny bit of jank. But, we'll get to that in a little bit. And and then phase 2 was, you had to have done... It's one of those fights, if you weren't the first group doing it, you probably didn't get as much out of it as you could have.
Yeah, and that's probably part of the reason why I didn't enjoy as much as I thought I would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's because everything was solved by the time we got there, right?
Yeah.
I will say that the theming of phase 2 was really cool. A whole bunch of like disproven scientific theories, just back to back after another. Ecpyrotic theory, caloric theory,
Phase 1
tangenosis,
too.
all these things.
Super chain theory is another one.
Yeah, so all of these things are disproved theories, and then it finishes with God, what's the name of it? Ignorabimus, which is from the phrase like we don't, what is it? The Latin maxim ignoramus et ignorabimus, meaning we do not know and will not know. That's the enrage.
Yeah.
Just saying we don't know shit. All these theories are wrong. And there's kind of a little play at there being a flat Earth theory thing thrown in there as well, but I'm not sure if that's exactly what they were going for. Oh, the bit where you zoom out,
The UAV.
and you go small.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe an angle for flat Earth theory being thrown in there, but no, theming wise, really, really cool. I think it's on par with the fourth fight where it's all a play, right? They do that whole storytelling part really well in the fourth fight of the first tier. And now the 12th fight feels the same way. It feels cohesive, I guess, stylistically and thematically.
Yeah. That's one thing. I mean, I look back and I kind of miss Asphodelos phase 2. Like, fourth fight phase 2. Like looking,
Yeah.
back, it still is my favorite final before enrage sequence with all the tether breaks and the conals and everything and the curtain call or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's still I think the best executed like last 20% of a boss that we've had in the whole expansion.
Curtain call is very, very cool.
Yeah. What would
Now,
you?
before we get to-
wait. Whoops gave me a.
No, that was
For
me.
what?
That was me.
Oh, was
Oh,
that
no.
you?
That
Oh, I
was
thought
me.
it was. I thought it was.
Yeah,
Whoops. Okay.
yeah, because I couldn't stand curtain call as a final kind of like last few minutes of a fight kind of mechanic. I couldn't fucking stand that shit.
You've gone through all the acts, and now everybody gets up and takes a bow one by one, just like at the end
I
of it.
did like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I mean, the naming convention, yeah, it's kind of smart a little bit, but as a mechanic, like I couldn't fucking stand it.
And wait, and one more thing before we go on. Not only are all the theories disproven, but the way she says fact makes it sound like her theory is fucked. So it's like even more on point.
My
Yeah.
theory shall be proven as fucked. I was like, huh?
So before we go into each of the fights individually, as you know, as raid teams, you kind of depend after the first day on that bit of rest. So how much sleep did you get in Prague?
I know how much sleep Speak got.
Oh, dude, ours was rough.
On the last day, yeah.
So we went like, I think at first day was about 20-ish hours. I don't remember exactly how long. We slept, I think,
Jesus.
5, and then we went
Jesus
25,
Christ.
26 hours the next day.
Yep.
So we were on. If that fight had a DPS check, the last fight, we were never killing that thing. It was, all the kill POVs are just the sloppiest play you've ever seen. Our dancer walked off the platform just from holding W too long.
Yeah.
He was that tired. It was real bad in our kill.
Tell him what happened
Yeah.
in our clear.
What didn't happen in our clear?
We left the paladin dead for like 40 seconds. At the
Zeph
end.
was on the floor for like a minute while we were doing, and we one shot the last like 3 minutes of the fight, didn't we?
Yeah, we got past caloric 2 once and cleared on the same pull. Yeah.
Yep.
Such a silly fight.
Yeah.
Because the day prior we spent 10 hours on Pangenesis,
Yeah.
or more, I think.
That was a big
Yeah.
exhaustion play. The next
It
day
was,
we came in and it was done very quickly.
Woo!
Hold back, whoops.
I'm good, man. I understood it.
Oh man.
All right, so
As
go
for
ahead, Go
rest,
ahead.
yeah, we just agreed on getting 8 hours. An
Yeah,
extra hour.
I was actually I felt very well rested every day. I got time to wake up in the morning and play a little bit of Destiny before I got on.
Oh my
and
God. I
Then,
didn't know
made
he was
coffee,
doing
took a
that.
shower. Dude,
Oh God, this gamer. this
Tuesday
gamer right
Tuesday
here.
was reset. Okay, I had so much spare time. What was I gonna
Jesus
do?
Christ.
I did
can't
my little
argue.
island sanctuary stuff in the meantime. It was awesome.
This gamer right here.
No,
All right.
gamers is what Sfia did with the Mr. 5 hours of sleep. That's the real gamer. Play
That's the
right there.
gaming. That's the real gaming.
That was hard. I will say one thing, on like just a closing statement on this being the end
Mhm.
of this progression of raid cycles through Elpis and stuff. I am so glad we don't have to fight any more old Greek dudes. It's been this old Greek dudes for years now.
Yeah.
We'll
Just,
find more
just give us a
old
dragon.
Greek dudes.
Big fucking dragon. That's all I
Also-
want to deal with right now. Yeah.
I'm making an audible. I don't know
Okay.
who's gonna agree with me. We gotta stop with the phase 2 wall bosses. Also,
We're gonna discuss
also-
that. We're gonna discuss that in a whole in a whole different topic later. But yeah, I had that pointed out because
one more thing.
yeah, that's go ahead.
We've also gotta stop with checkpoint door bosses.
Yeah.
I miss Shiva and Titan so bad.
Oh boy.
Yep. Yep.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're gonna have a whole
topic.
different. Yeah, we're gonna have a whole discussion on that.
I'm sure we will.
Once we get to P12. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive in and get right into the first fight, P9. What were your?
The best first turn in this game.
Damn.
That is extremely high praise. Why would you say that?
That's coming from somebody who started raiding in Shadowbringers too. But I've done everything many times. So I didn't get to experience the magic of anything pre-Shadowbringers.
All right.
Day one.
All right. The worst.
Yeah, the worst.
First fight. Yeah.
Probably combined with the magic of doing it day one and getting to like figure out stuff. And just all the different experiences I've had doing previous things. I think that's the best first turn. Just full stop.
Sfia, are we
Not by a lot, but it overall, I think the best first turn.
Sfia, I want to see if I can guess what our answer is going to be to that. It's in response to thinking of best first boss. Alphascape?
Alphascape is
Chaos
up there,
Yeah.
but if you're not saying Rat Finks Twinkle Dinks, like what are you on about?
Yeah,
There's
that's
no
fair. If you're
way-
gonna go, okay, I was trying to keep it recent. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, A5 definitely.
A5.
is the best.
There's no way that the fight where you turn into a monkey and bash the balls around is not the
And
best
you
fight
get to
in the
turn
game.
into a bird. And you get
Exactly.
to slap bombs around.
It's
Yeah,
got it all.
right.
I thought A5 was fucking goofy. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I also thought it was
I couldn't
goofy.
take it seriously.
But it was
I couldn't
cool.
take it
was
seriously.
His
great.
name is Twinkle Dinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I called him Twinkle Dicks. Yeah.
Yeah, I call him Twinkle.
I couldn't take it seriously.
In terms of this fight, though, P9, I think it felt a little really inconsistent in difficulty. I touched on this a little bit before, but the parts that weren't hard were like you slept through them, and the part that was hard, you're like the Jack eyes open meme, right? You have to wake the fuck up now, but then the rest of the part, like you actually coast through it.
I would describe P9 as this. This is the start of the fight. It's first mechanic, second mechanic, third mechanic, fourth mechanic, fifth mechanic, sixth mechanic. That's literally because the first is literally pairs in out or spread in out like 3 times, and that's like okay, why'd you waste my time with this? The second mechanic is the front rear combination, and that's anywhere from this was really easy to fuck you game, depending on which pattern it is.
Yep.
And then you have limit cut, which, I sure did love having a blitzball mechanic in the fucking first fight. That went great.
Blitzball mechanic? Oh, because he kicks the ball?
The animation's in the game, Happy.
I know it's in the game. It's also in like soccer in real life, so I'm just gonna let that one ride. And then you have the behemoth phase, which is really strange. Like it was just like because that's the next thing. It's the behemoth where it's like, oh. With it's just like, why is this here?
It's because he was consuming the ether of all the things in the Ethereal Sea, right?
Well, yeah, I think the going theory is that those are all bosses from the Crystal Tower. It's Scylla, Glazla, and the Behemoth, all from the Crystal Tower. So the Martialist is Punchy Guy because he does a lot of the same attacks and animations as both of them, except for Scylla, who doesn't really.
Glaciolobulus?
Yeah. That's the going theory that it's their souls because of the Behemoth being the Behemoth from the Crystal Tower specifically.
Yeah.
And then Scylla being kind of
the mage,
yeah.
Magus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a fine enough theory. I mean, we don't have anything
Magus.
to disprove it, and I think it's perfectly logical. So yeah,
right.
I'll go with that.
I mean, when you're talking about all the souls of the Ethereal Sea, I mean, like anything goes, right?
Yeah, but you can't help but feel like they want to grab something we might be able to identify. Not just a random mate. Like we have to rationalize it in some way. So
Wait a second. Sidebar lore question. If and when a dragon dies, like a great worm, do their souls go to the Ethereal Sea if they're on Eorzea?
one would assume because their eyes have been absorbing Eorzean ether for.
So
Are you thinking in terms of Ritra?
Well,
no, I'm
any
thinking
dragon.
in terms of any dragon that
Okay.
Kakatos could have eaten and given to us in the fight. Like, what if he turned into a dragon? Is what I'm saying. Like an actual first brood.
Yeah, he probably could have. It's logical, I think.
Anyways, yeah, like Nidhogg. Surprise!
Surprise,
Hot tail,
hot
hot
wings.
wing.
Yeah.
Damn it! Not again!
Oh man. But yeah, it's weird. The fight peaks and valleys, but at the same time, when I think about it like that, how it does this, it kind of almost makes more sense that way when you think about it. Like even just going from the limit cut into the pair mechanic into the raid wide is like a nice little top off to the limit cut. That's not super difficult, but it's like we did it. But hold on, You know, it's just like kind of keeps you in check a little bit. So it's little things like that I definitely grew to like.
I think overall that fight is fun, like, not in the sense of like, oh, I really enjoyed these mechanics, but it's like it's got that whole kind of a light feeling to it, and I think the voiceover really contributes to that. The fact that the voice acting is in there, and it's like you've got 3-4 different voices throughout it as well, and it all just creates this really quite fun atmosphere, I guess, in the fight. But that said, there are parts where I'm just like, I don't know why the first 2 minutes kind of exists, right? I guess it's there to pad it out and make the part that's further in more difficult, because we know that they create difficulty in fights based on how far difficult mechanics are into the fight. That's one of the tuning knobs that they like to turn. So I guess that's why it's there. But yeah, it felt pretty similar overall to the Carbuncle P5 to me, where it's just like there's a lot of just doing nothing or doing very, very basic things, and then just hang on a second, try not to die.
Die.
Yeah.
Devour, yeah. It has that devour moment, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you usually get like one other mechanic that's like a little elevated, like Ruby 5, I think would be what most people would reference with the light parties on each side. Yeah. And that kind of happens here too. I think that just kind of happens on the just between the 5th and 6th mechanic, the front back plus the ice fire and all that stuff, whereas people sometimes are a bit of a mad dash to do that correct.
Yeah, and in both cases, they're not like raid waves, like they are for Devour or for
Ruby 5, kind of, because you get the puddles, you have to get the pair puddles right after, so if people are dead, it kind of goes to shit immediately. But that's salvageable.
I mean, well, at least the puddles you could kind of save it.
A little bit.
You can wing
but
it,
it's
and
luck
it's recoverable.
It's luck based, yeah.
Whereas the core mechanic is just like you have to have 8 alive and you have to do it correctly.
Yeah.
And there are salvageable scenarios, but they're like there's no way you expect people to do this, especially in like things like Party Finder. And again, similar to Ruby 5, the later on one as well, like you can completely troll and kill everyone in that, but it takes a specific type of trolling to kill everyone in that, right? The rest of it is pretty straightforward in Limit Cut too.
Unfortunately, the PF is always trolling.
Oh yeah.
There you go. There you go. Whoops, what did you think of Kinanes?
So I've done it in quite a few different environments now. I did it on the day one. I did it with a re-clear group of absolute gamers who figured out everything. So that's one blind, well, one kind of half blind, one absolutely not blind, and then I'm doing it with Nest as well, which is absolutely in the dark, completely blind, and I'm just sitting back with my mic muted, like watching chaos. And I'd say that difficulty bar that you showed, Haps, is definitely for everybody who knows everything now, right? But if you're doing that fight completely blind and you're not an absolute gamer, like top tier, then I'd say that bar's a little more smoothed out across the board.
It's more like this
from watching.
and that.
Yeah.
Like a heartbeat.
It's still, yeah. I mean, both the times with the explosions with the ice are massive spikes, like immediately.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. The LCs are definitely the hardest part. But I don't know. I've healed that fight now. I've done melee on that fight, and I stepped in a little bit on caster for a moment. I thought that entire fight as a whole was just pretty fun across the board. Maybe it's because I haven't done like a bazillion pulls of it yet, and it's still fresh to me. And every group that I've done as well, there's different solutions to the limit cut mechanics as well. So I'm like, I guess the downtime where I should be like, oh, this is so boring. This is so boring. In, pairs, out, spread. Like that time I'm spending like, okay, what is this group's strat for this thing coming up here? I'm like thinking in my head what I have to do in the next 30 seconds or whatever.
I will say
like
that
it a lot. Go ahead.
I will say that while the mechanics that are the sleeper parts of the fight, which is, just pairs, proteans, in or out, they're done in a really like unique way in the way that it presents it to you, which I think makes it much more palatable. Because if it was like Fate Breaker style, right? Like, oh, he's glowing red or he's glowing blue, this means one or the other. I think the way in which it's presented makes it more enjoyable than if it was Fate Breaker style, I guess.
No, I understand that. I was thinking Cloud of Darkness, even as a more, I guess, almost a more direct at the very start. With the spreads and stacks. But for this, it's like it gives you. Okay, there's going to be fire and ice. I know what both these do. One of them is going to be different, and then it snaps for the different one. You know.
I love that mechanic because it shows the two hands, and then it literally fucking flashes it in everybody's face, and you know that everybody sees it, the biggest part of their screen. So there's no excuse if you fuck it up.
Yeah. Except being like a pixel too far back for the ice or something like that. Just like catching.
The call is out, but not too far out, in parentheses.
Our markers are really nice. All of our markers, I noticed marker consistency in this fight and all the fights also seem to be like really good.
Oh my god. Dude, the floor markers on 9?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, even just like generic placement of markers has like a bunch of applicable uses across the fight. Like you can use different points of it very effectively. Like for ours, I know inside of the marker was always safe for ice. Outside of the marker was always safe for the point blank. And it was just like that. And that's also the size increase to soil and asylum make those mechanic solvers half the time because we use the centered soil to be like, this always where you can literally always stand at the edge of this and no matter what, it's safe. Yeah.
We had a macro that placed soil in the same spot, right? And then we used the soil for caloric when we had to go out, remember?
Yeah, we used it for out on 11. We used it for out on 9 for the point blank when he's doing.
It's very nice.
Yeah. It literally is just like 2 or 3 alms bigger than all the point blank AoEs and is still in max melee. So it was like just a beautiful like additional thing to give everyone. So that's big. If you don't have a scholar, sorry.
Sage moment.
Sage's like, I have Caracole.
Before we move on to P10, want to know, was there anything you kind of took away from normal that kind of helped you in P9 Savage?
Not with the most important thing, which was limit cut. Yeah. The only thing that could have mattered would have been limit cut. No, there's nothing. That's like, that was one of those complete departures, which is very different from 5. 5, we saw Devour normal and we were like, oh, this is not going to be good.
I really thought that the Behemoth phase in Savage was going to have jumps of some kind.
Yeah, because he never jumped to the tanks. He never did the double tank.
Yeah, I thought it was going to do a tank jump, and like a party stack. But like the order of that would be random depending on something. That's what was going to be one of my leading theories, but it just never happened.
It's a completely different phase. There's literally almost no overlap. Like the Charybdises are only on those 4 spots, and the Meteor is always in the same 4 spots. And like
I will say, I don't like that Behemoth phase after doing it with a few groups.
No, it's not.
Have you seen Nest's solution to that mechanic?
No, I haven't.
The bile stacks are tank busters instead.
So they just
only tank busters.
Okay.
Figure it out.
Oh, I've got it figured out. I know it's distance. Yeah, no, I've got it, but
yeah. I don't.
Tanks are bored.
I do, and I don't like the fact that you can do things like that in that fight. I guess is all.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I think a fight being on the rails generally is a bad thing. Generally, so having the ability to do quirky
things like that,
even if they're completely knowing he has to play with Whoops tomorrow, I don't like that.
It's something. Yeah. Even if you're wrong, it still works. I guess
it still works.
The good thing. Yeah.
I mean, we have Sfia and I have the best example of even if you're wrong, it still works. Going back to Phoenix and turn 12. That's like the biggest example in the game of if it's wrong and it works. The brand, one of the brands.
Is AOE.
Yeah. Well, there's one of the brands in turn 12 is supposed to be a split damage AOE, but nobody knew that. So we were just like, why does every other brand hurt so much more?
Yep.
And you just were taking a share, like a 2-person share on your own the whole time.
I was talking about this while I was streaming this exact scenario in the Beastly Bile thing when they were tank busters instead of stacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about like convoluted solutions in terms of like damage, split damage is this a stack? Is this not a stack? Do you think?
Do you mean?
Do you think that like the flying damage text? Do you think it should have an indicator if that can be shared or not? Basically, that's the question.
Now, when you say convoluted, I'm sorry. When you say convoluted solutions, do you mean like the amount of solutions that can apply to it, or just like how crazy a solution?
It's like
the clarity of the mechanic.
The solution of it being a stack isn't given to you unless you actually just like, oh, let's just randomly try this and see if it's a stack.
So
because all the other stacks in the game have a marker, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Beastly Bile or something like that doesn't.
I think the best example of this was in top final phase when you're progging Dragon Song Dive. And there are 3 AoEs going off that all look exactly the same. 2 of them are tank busters, 1 of them's a stack. They have the same animations, and when you take one solo, it does the same damage as the tank busters. So you're just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
The damage numbers are all conflicting with each other. The way in which they're baited isn't obvious unless you like go and fucking freeze frame everything, or you intentionally position yourself in an order to check how it's being baited, things like that. It's not immediately obvious. And also, I think there's a couple things that they've done that have made this really weird, or sometimes like just I think wrong. One of those is that damage numbers these days tend to be like a stack can be livable by a tank, so it's really you don't know which one it is. And also sometimes they have stacks that just do arbitrary amount of damage if you don't have the correct number of people in them, which then makes the process of gathering that data even more annoying. Like those 4-person stacks, for example, in the second fight, they just do like 500k damage if you don't have 4 people in there. And you're like, oh, this is a 1.5 million damage stack? What? No, it just arbitrarily does extra damage if you fail the condition, which isn't how things used to be, but they've done a bit more of that more recently. I don't know if there's an easy way to solve it other than like some sort of visual indicator of this should be 4 people. Like, you know how there are towers and they have the number of spinnies around them?
Yeah.
Something like that when the AoE goes off to show this is what a 4-person AoE looks like, or this is a stack marker. It has a universal indicator, even if it's just the animation and not like an actual stack marker overhead, like the telegraph. But either way, it makes the gathering of data sometimes really, really annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's the mechanic, though, right? That is the progression mechanic. Figuring out how things are targeted and how things the damage is calculated, particularly in something like Limit Cut, figuring out that it's a distance based to the fire dash thing. That is part of the mechanic. You tell that's really intended, especially when you're dealing with a mechanic which is so space oriented. Having something like that be a core part of that mechanic makes sense. Stacks versus tank busters doesn't feel super intuitive. The numbers don't make sense a lot of the time at first glance. So yeah, definitely could use some work in my opinion.
Do you think that the flying text for damage, along with the now like the sword or the spear, if it's magical or physical, or what is it, darkness damage for like the little star? Imagine they just right next to that, they either put 1 guy or like 4 guys. Like just a tiny little icon to indicate stack damage or like single damage. Would that be too much?
I think no, only if you plan on obscuring the mechanic enough. If you know, like if they plan on obscuring everything, then yes. But if they don't, then no. I think like what Sfia said, if they keep doing what Sfia said, where it's just like you fail and now you're fucked. Like even though you had 3 instead of 4, but it didn't say you needed 4, you just kind of are fucked because you did need 4, but you didn't really know like that. If they're gonna do that, then yeah. If it's just like a matter of, oh, that targeted both of our healers, 2 AoEs on both our healers, like we know, if it targets 4 people and there's another attack, you probably know. Like there's a lot of ways to divine it that aren't that. And I think that's kind of like just a Savage thing in general to have that extra layer of solving, but it needs to be consistent no matter what.
It's a bit arbitrary still, yeah.
Yeah, see, my thing is how would you differentiate? Like say 4 people stack for a mechanic you really don't have the stack for. Like how would the signifier differentiate, or would it just strictly be for those scenarios.
Yeah, would you want it to literally have 2 dudes, 3 dudes, 4 dudes, 5 dudes, 6 dudes? It's like, I guess it's just you could just have 1 dude or multiple dudes, and then let you do the rest of it in case it's any different.
Yeah, I mean, like you could either do dudes, or you could do like some kind of indicator that simply just says this is intended to be shared, or like literally add like a tiny little stack icon next to the flying text.
Yeah, like the crosshair looking thing. Just add
exactly. Yeah.
So the problem with that is that some mechanics are, like I said before, designed around having that be part of the discovery process. A really good example of what this would have really made a lot faster is the Hello Worlds Near and Far, right, and Top. Figuring out that was only one person can be in that, based on the size as well. That, like, first pull, you now know this person has to be by themselves, and then second pull, you'll now see exactly how it behaves after that point, as opposed to, I'm sure that every blind group had this. Like, you have multiple pulls where you've just got 2 people in there, like, I don't understand how this damage works. Shit's blowing up everywhere. That's gone, right? You immediately know after the first time seeing it.
Yeah. You would be able to look at debuffs, look at damage numbers, and just be like, oh, okay, this.
Yeah. So I think it's okay the way it is. I just think they need to be a little more. Maybe it's currently the damage calculation and the numbers between tanks and party members, that things can be misconstrued that way. That's the problem. But I don't think it's an easy fix. They'd have to rejig all the damage like values in the game to make that. So maybe a 7.0 thing. Let's pray. But right now, that's the only issue I see with it. I think it's fine, just annoying sometimes.
And then on the topic of arbitrary mechanics, do you think, what about proximity tethers or like proximity baited mechanics? Should those also have some kind of indicator? Like maybe like an arrow when the damage goes off, or like something on the flying text?
Wait. When you say proximity mechanics, like like for the proximity tethers, do you mean the ones like the arrows and then it just straightens out?
No, I mean like something where the beastly bile gets baited onto the furthest player from the boss.
Oh, no, I think generally those are clear enough.
You'd think footage. So.
Generally. Yeah, you would think so. But they also don't do them nearly as often as they used to. But there are a couple in P9, but there used to be a lot more than there are now. So I don't think it's an issue currently. But who knows? If they want to do more of it, maybe they can find a way to make that more intuitive. But right now, I think it's okay. Again, it's things like that exist purely for blind groups, essentially. Because once they're figured out, you can teach them to other people, and the strategies are formulated with that stuff in mind, and that's fine. And I'm always for more things added specifically for blind groups. You know, like when Uwu happened, 90% of that fight was just for blind groups. It was like a love letter to what blind frog is. And I'm all about that. I would be sad if they take away those extra things to figure out, because unless they compensate for that in other areas of difficulty, which at the moment, the way that they do add this difficulty, I don't like the sound of that. So I'm okay with the way that it currently is.
I'm largely in the same boat. I think obscuring things is part of the discovery process, and something most people don't even have to actually worry about. It's such a short-term problem that I think only becomes an issue if they over obscure, and then it becomes just arbitrary and weird. So, and it's better now than it used to be. I'll tell you, it's still way better now than it used to be.
Oh yeah, I'm aware.
Back when you'd get Mourned, and you just had to know that it hit multiple times and hit more every time, because we didn't have a marker for it. We didn't have a marker that it was split. We didn't have a marker that it was repeated. You just had to know.
Yeah, when I learned that lesson when I went back and blind progged with a totally blind group the entirety of the Alexander Age of people who've never done them before, and it was an eye-opening experience for me as a buddling raider.
It's not great.
That shit was arbitrary as hell. If you think what we're talking about now was
Oh yeah.
You like counting autos to the next cleave, which you
literally
need mitigation for? Yeah.
Yep. Stunning a leg when it's steaming, like What?
Dude, the greatest I always think is when you go to A8 and you get to the when everyone started doing Blue Mage, but people hadn't actually done A8, and they were just like, okay, so when do I use my I'm dead.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, so the rotation is Diamondback into Diamondback into Diamondback into Diamondback. Good times.
Brute Justice would like to know your location.
Oh man.
All right, moving on. We're moving into P10 Pandemonium itself. This is going to be an interesting conversation because there's one thing I do want to talk about when we really get into Harrowing Hell. But overall, what were your thoughts on Pandemonium as a fight?
When a second fight takes that long, I'm always worried that I'm like, oh my god, do we suck? Are we this bad? But then you look at like the pool game, like, oh, it's pretty much the same as every other like racing group. What is up? This fight is just hard. It's a second fight. No way. It made me feel real shit at the game. I'll tell you, that's what it did.
Low key,
But in a good way. Yeah.
I think after doing the tier, I think the third and second fight should have been swapped order wise.
You said that after the second fight, before we'd even done the third fight.
Yeah. I said when we cleared, I said that felt like a third floor, like big time.
And again, going back to this, when was the last time a second floor was like a wall, kind of? Because I don't think
Like actually a wall boss or like walled prog groups.
like a wall in terms of
because it was
progress.
both.
A6. I still go all the way.
Stormer?
Oh,
A6?
you're right. Yeah, Midgard Stormer.
Wait.
Definitely Midgard Stormer. Yeah.
Yeah. People really struggled with Midgard Stormer. And I don't think that fight was egregiously difficult. It was just unique in some of the mechanics and punishing in the same way that this fight is.
I fully agree with that. Yeah. I couldn't compare like Shadowkeeper or Raktapaxa, or Catastrophe. Like none of those are even close.
No.
Shadowkeeper was hard, but it was once you got the one gimmick, you were good. This one had multiple points that felt like that.
I like
And it felt a lot more fast-paced. I think, Shadowkeeper was a great fight.
Do you like her as a mount?
Yeah, Shadowkeeper's fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna go buy it right now. I definitely don't deserve it unless I open my wallet.
That's exactly how it works.
True.
Let's not get into that conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms.
Jesus fucking Christ. But yeah, Whoops, how did you feel about Pandemonium?
So Nest, the blind group, just got there for the first time last night. We went in for an hour and didn't get past the first mechanic. That's because they're doing it totally blind, and I guess that kind of changed my opinion on it a little bit. Because looking back, we kind of soared through a lot of the parts that blind groups would struggle with if they're not like looking at other teams or like researching or anything. How did we figure out that those first stacks, the first web stacks, you needed to be far away from the person in the middle of the stack?
Because the very first time we did it, they were just stacked on top of each other and we couldn't break them.
Right.
We were
and
like,
we assumed that we could break them.
Yeah, we were like, wait, why aren't these breaking? And they're like, maybe it's because you guys are too close. Like, it was literally the first suggestion that we had.
Yeah.
Then we found out later you also couldn't have 4 people or 3 person and a pillar. That we found out, just later with the same kind of thing.
That's something we kind of just zoomed past, and it made me realize that was a little like, unless somebody just has that idea, I don't think there's any tell for that, right? Because I read all the debuffs. I don't think it says you need to be far away from the person in the middle.
The web
right?
is like thick. It's like
it's like big, and it doesn't look like it does in normal, right?
Right.
When you can break it. Yeah, I guess that's the tell. That was just a random side note from going in there last night with the blind group. I liked the fight. I thought it was fun. I loved moving from platform to platform with the strats that we had while doing my rotation, I guess. The only thing I didn't like was the size of the AoEs on... what was that shit called? It was like towers into like the first two rows, and then like you had to get under a laser.
Because when the two donuts are next to each other, they clip into each other. Yeah.
That's the one thing I disliked about that. And I really liked the cannons thing. That was fun to figure out.
Yeah.
I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. Maybe like a 6.5. It's all right.
Happy.
I think it's the best fight of the tier, other than Phase 1/12. In all honesty, like I think Phase 1/12 is at the top, and then it's 10. And honestly, you can maybe argue for 10 just because of how impressive it is as a second fight. That you could put it higher because you expect the fourth fight to be a certain way, like to just mixing and matching expectation and reality. But no, it's executionally way above what I would have expected. You have very little time to do a lot of different things. You're moving all over the place.
The bonds were really fast.
Yeah.
Right? Like after the half rooms or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
That was most of our wipes, I think.
It's most of everyone's wipes is bonds. Yeah. It's just especially that's why I call bonds 3. Bonds 3 where you have to do a half. Here's the thing. Bonds 3 has a 50% chance of being easy and a 50% chance of being a disaster because everyone doesn't start in the middle and move over. You always see people kind of hovering around where they're like on like the left side of the room, like, okay, I'm left. And they go to the left side of the room on the left. And then it aims at the left and they're like, fuck. They got to run to the other side. It's like people try to do like predictive movement and they fuck themselves and it just goes sideways so quick. But it's a great fight.
It's one of those
shocked how good it is.
It's one of those fights where if there was 1 second extra on the debuffs going off, the spreads and stacks, it would be significantly easier.
Yep, I agree.
But there isn't. Also, the other thing that'll get you is that the lines on the floor don't really help you too much when it comes to the Jade Passage AoE, which also gets a lot of people, myself included. I think it's stupid, but it's... Yep.
When I was talking about the P9 lines on the floor and how good they were, I was about to say, like the entire tier had really good floor markings. Then I went, wait, 10 kind of sucked.
There's only one good floor marking, I think, in 10, and it's the diamonds in the back for dropping the webs. That's it. Yeah. For harrowing hell webs, yeah.
Yeah. I really think they should have added like vertical lines to that to where like shit would happen, but whatever.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I did want to kind of point to was the in 10, both normal and savage, the uniqueness of the arena itself. What did y'all think of that when y'all first experienced it?
I wanted more poison, personally.
I wanted to land on the platform that had the boss where it's just all poison. I just wanted us to be forced down there at some point, and everyone just starts stacking up, and you have to do something to get off of the platform quickly.
Imagine when he did the Tank Buster Towers, he would split the center arena into thirds, so there'd be 5 platforms from left to right.
Oh God. But I don't imagine that. And we just pretend like it could have happened.
Oh yeah. P10 Ultimate.
There you go. That reminds me of what people thought Leviathan was going to have back in Eden. Like everyone thought, oh, dude, on Savage, it's going to do more than just break it on the sides or break it in the middle. Nope, it just broke it on the sides and broke it in the middle.
Yeah.
But exactly as expected. Yeah. No, good fight, though. Good fight. And
I think the arena was good. I think less people interacted with it than possibly could have. Because the only times that as a DPS I ever go to the side is like for the 2 mechanics, and that's it. Whereas the tanks are going over there, then they're getting broken out, and then they're coming back, and it feels like their interaction with the arena is much higher than everyone else's. But other than that, I think it's cool. I think it really just felt like a square platform wall boss, but then there's a little bit extra, which you use sometimes, which it's fine, whatever. Maybe it could have used a little more interaction, but overall, I didn't detract from the fight, which is generally what weird arenas tend to do. So I'm happy with it.
I just feel like the tanks always get the most boring job, so this was their way of making the tanks have not the most boring job. Yeah, like it just gives the tanks a little. Because imagine if that wasn't there. Imagine if the tanks were like
that'd have been so boring.
Yeah, it would have been so fucking boring. So they just like, okay, we're gonna make sure the tanks stay busy. So the tanks are like, and I'm back, and I'm gone, and I'm back, and I'm gone, and I'm knocked, and I'm back, and I'm gone, and I'm making a bridge, and it's just like, they're the ones who get to move around and do all the fun stuff.
Yep.
So I'm
they get
happy for
blasted.
them. Yeah. Yeah, then they get blasted repeat. I don't know if that's fun for the tanks or not. Because the going strat now is what? It's just like it's just each roll at a time, but the tank takes all the lasers. So
That's what we do in our reclear group. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, not like you had to do jack shit in week 1. You took the first laser and fucked off. Like, it was still the plan.
Yep.
It was still the
It was
plan no
awesome.
matter what. Yeah. It was just now you get the tanks are just like, I sure would love to stand at the boss instead of taking this back laser, but I guess I'll
No, I
take
save
the
a
back
spine
laser.
chatter for that part. So as soon as I get knocked back, I'm right on the boss, and I just turn my brain off.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. Tank ping pong. There you go.
So I do know that is one of the mechanics that a lot of people have had difficulty with, and potentially because of bugs. I know that there's some weird finicky targeting with the last heads that people have complained about. Now, I don't play tank, but every time I see it go wrong, it seems like it's completely avoidable. But I obviously I don't play tank. I'm not the one interacting with it. I've heard that specifically the last set, it's like impossible to get the fixate off if it's on you already, and sometimes taking the close head will also grab the far head, and then it cannot be taken off you. So
I'm pretty sure I've seen that happen. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure if it is a bug, if the tanks are currently recovering from sprinting across the room and they're just late. Like it's a whole bunch of different things that it could be, but there's been lots of complaints about it. I still just think it's a skill issue that they should.
I also, agree. I think it also, if you're inside the cannon's hitbox, it gets a little jank, from what I've seen. If you step too close to it, it gets really wonky.
Yeah. I see
that's-
that last one go sideways, literally.
So when I get close to it as the first person in line and the tank is like up my ass, I'm like really trying not to step into the cannon. And I'm like, dude, back up a little bit. Give me some space.
Yeah.
I can see that going haywire after the third or fourth.
I can't wait for Ness to do it.
I can.
God damn it. Too bad.
One quick thing I do want to talk about is Harrowing Hell. And this is going to bring up the conversation of the, not necessarily the importance, but how good LBs are. Because I kind of feel like, because I've been watching a lot of PF, that's pretty much going to be the go-to for a lot of PFs to kind of get through it. And again, this brings up the topic of how good the tank and the healer LBs are in Prague.
Yep.
Notice we didn't mention DPS.
Not this tier, at least.
No. So what do y'all think of the just harrowing in general, and then the importance in a PF position of using LBs to get through Prague.
Put it this way. When I was doing a lot of normal mode in the week leading up, I was asking the tanks to LB Harrowing Hell or else we would die. In normal mode.
That shit
'Cause
hurts.
You would die in normal mode because the healers just wouldn't be ready. That sort of damage doesn't exist in normal modes ever. So you tank LB that in normal mode and then you live. And so if you have to do it there, then you damn well should use it in Savage. Oh my god, that shit hurts so hard. I don't know what they expect us to do. I would love to know if this is like
Save Mitt.
that you want to heal. Here you go. Or what are they trying to convey? Or they want us to use LB? I'm not sure. But either way, it's different, and that's cool.
I've not done a clear of that fight yet where there wasn't some kind of LB after harrowing. Albeit hasn't been many.
Yeah.
That is big damage, like really big, unexpectedly out of nowhere. Because they're like, oh damn, he slammed the platform. That really hurt. Oh, he's slamming the platform again. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh,
It
just
also
doesn't
goes
stop.
up every single slap, too.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, it's proximity. Everyone run away, and then you test that, and you still die.
Then you
and
fucking die.
And then a tank dies, and then you see the next person died, and the next person died because they're taking the wild charge tank damage as well, and it's a disaster.
Yeah.
It does so much.
I need to go grab something from my door real quick. Shouldn't take
fine.
more than like a minute. So go ahead.
Handle your business.
I'll talk. Don't worry. So I was watching a stream and I saw a healer LB3 on Bonds 3, and I went, "They're done." Like, that's how I feel. It's like when Bonds 3 goes sideways and the healer has to LB, you're like, "Oh no, that's not good. That's not good." Funny thing is, they cleared on that pull, so it actually did go okay. And not only did they clear, but they had to heal all of the hits except the final hit of the second one as well before killing it. So they killed it on the wind back to kill you in the second one. So I was actually kind of impressed. I'm not gonna lie, because I think when you mid it, it's really not that bad. It is just a big mitt check, and tank LB is the easiest mitt in the game. You know, the problem is it's a mitt check from literally every person because your tanks need their 30%, their 20%. They probably want to cycle in their like short 6-second one as well for the last few hits on top of that, or invuln. But I mean, if you end up seeing both harrowing hells, you can't invuln both of them. So it's like it's just scary.
Not only that, but one of the things that I noticed with it is that it's really drawn out as well. So without an actual mitt plan, everybody, I'd imagine this probably happens at PA, everybody just slams their mid at the start, and then you're literally raw for the last hit, and you die.
Yep.
It's a very long, protracted sequence. I don't think 10 seconds cover everything. Maybe 15s do, but I know for a fact 10s don't. So that alone is going to make it harder to mitt and survive in a Party Finder like environment. So good luck, I guess.
Gear's going to help.
That's another
lot.
reason.
Gear will help a lot.
Yeah. And that's another place where tank LB is very good because like tank LB 1 and 2 last more. I think tank LB 3 is 8. Tank LB 2 is it 10 or 12? One of them's 10, one of them's 12. Yeah, and then tank LB 1 is it 12 now or was it 15?
I don't know.
Either way.
Remember. I never see tank LB 1 like unless it's an accident or you're just
I'm
desperate.
back.
Welcome back.
I was listening on my phone while I was grabbing stuff.
Harrowing takes about 18 seconds to finish, according
Am I wrong in my opinion in thinking that tank LB2 is better than tank LB3? Just because of how long it lasts?
I think in this case, yes.
Yeah, probably in this case. It's situational, but a lot of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
I think what's hilarious is groups that tank LB3 at the start instead of like after a few hits, and then it's a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
Now, see, like, LBing harrowing is kind of different going back to last year where like Coachella.
Yeah,
Coachella 2. Yeah. Well, people would LB Coachella 2 just to get through it. Like this is a kind of a different scenario for
it's easier than the first one. By a lot. Why did we take LB it?
Because people don't know how to turn around. People don't know where north is, and people don't know how to turn around in Coachella 2.
I think it was just nerves being at the end, right?
I mean, you'd hope it's just nerves, but you know.
Yeah.
But realistically, imagine if Coachella 2 is where Coachella 1 is. Do you think anyone would be any better turning around?
Yes.
I don't think
I think you'd get more practice at it, and therefore you'd be more
agree.
Like aware situationally, I guess.
I don't trust
usually when you do those late mechanics, like you'll limp through it a couple of times. You're like, yeah, I'm comfortable with it. And you will fail at
I've never done LC2 correctly in 9 for exactly that reason. I don't think I've ever done it cleanly.
Because every time we get there, someone's like, I have an idea. And then they just do something fucking random. And oh boy, a healer lived. We're alive. Fight dies.
That's how it went on our clear.
Yep. And that's how it's gone every clear I've done in that fight so far.
Oh man! You know how many groups I've watched do 9 and complete like every pull LC1 is clean, but they just die on LC2 every time.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's got to be that, right? Like if you put that at the start of the fight, once you've got a few more reps, you'll be fine. But because they put it pretty deep, like if you're seeing LC2, you're killing the fight more or less.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're just less reps, less practice. You get the fakies.
Any final thoughts about P10S before we move on?
Suffer and Party Finder. Have fun.
Spider webs.
Oh, does anyone have fun nicknames for him? My favorite was Greasy Alexander.
Ew.
Wow. Why? Just why? How? Like, okay, explain the process of you coming up with that.
I didn't come up
Why?
with it. Somebody else called him that. I said that's just my favorite nickname for him is Greasy Alexander. Because he's a castle and he's like kind of.
He's got the wing.
Yeah, he's got the wing.
Does have a wing.
Yeah, he's Greasy Alexander. I'm telling you. Howl's Prague Castle. That's another one.
That's really good.
That's my favorite one.
That's a good one.
That one.
That's a good one. Yes, that wins.
Yeah,
I think there's anything else on the fight I
chat's
wanna
got
go
some
over.
fun ones. Yeah, someone said that just the spider webs just call them cummies. That's another one.
Oh,
That's a very Twitch chat. That's a very Twitch chat name.
Oh, yeah.
is cummies. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a great time for everyone from Serana's stream to come over too. On that word.
Good timing.
Very much. Yeah.
What,
Very good
cummies?
timing. Yeah.
Perfect
Yeah.
timing.
Hell's Prague Castle. That's it.
Cool.
All right, let's move on to P11S. Themis. How you guys feeling about Themis?
Worst fight of the tier. Not because it's bad, but because Fate Breaker exists. That's it. It's literally by proc.
yeah.
Like just in comparison, just by existing, just
Yeah.
by Fate Breaker existing,
That
makes
doesn't
it
mean
worse.
it's bad.
it overshadows.
But yeah.
If you didn't raid in Shadowbringers, if you knew an Endwalker, you probably like this fight more.
I loved E11 so much so that when I talk about Themis, I also call it E11. Not on purpose, but it just
To
happens.
be fair, P and E are pretty close.
Yeah.
You know, so it works out.
I thought it was a fun fight, but it was kind of easy.
It's big
I think so
nothing
too.
burger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that it's a nothing burger. It's all things you know already. It doesn't throw many curveballs at you and things that you specifically need to learn about this fight. A lot of it is just pairs and light parties and dynamos and chariots and move into this AoE. It's all Final Fantasy staple mechanics and just remembering which one is which and which order you're doing them in. That's all it is. It doesn't mean that it's nothing. It's just like it's a new twist on existing things. That said, it didn't have like a really high point in difficulty at any point. It felt like the difficulty curve of the fight was a lot smoother, which is why I think it probably feels a lot easier to a lot of people. It doesn't, like you said, in P9, it doesn't have that massive cliff that it goes up in the difficulty curve. And same with P10, right, where you've got Harrowing Hell and Bonds 3.
Yeah.
There's, I guess, Light and Dark.
Sort of.
Other
No, but
than
now
that-
Light and Dark has now
Sort
see
of.
week 1 Light and Dark, yes. Now now that people have the Final Fantasy 14 formula for it, where you literally don't have to think about who you're tethered to anymore, unless you're doing like the near tether. Now it's ridiculous. As soon as I heard that, whoops, when we went into last week's from Kyo, I was like, I'm so upset. This is
Yep.
E7 portals all over again.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know, if you're a DPS, you look at your debuff, you go to, so you use D and B as like dark and light, like as the marker colors, like B is a lighter marker. So if you're a DPS, you go to the marker that matches yours. So if you have light, you go to B. If you have dark, you go to D. And if you're a tank or a healer, you go to the opposite. And it automatically puts you in a safe place.
When he
every time.
typed that, I was like, "There's no way that shit works." And we did it, and I went, "Man." We had
Yeah.
like an elaborate like checking players, like check this guy if he has that, and swap, and if this guy.
What did we do in Prague? We did healers obey. So the healers go to their one in Prague, and then the tank looks, and if they have the same short or long
Yep.
Yep,
as
that's what
the
we did.
healer, they do that, and the
Same thing.
DPS just obey their tether. Right?
Mhm.
They just
Yeah.
they do whatever
That's
the tether
literally verbatim what we did.
Mhm.
And then we found out about this other thing. We're like, there goes that
That's better.
yeah, that's better. Oh man, and that's like it. That was the only prog point. It was just getting into the groups and then like not fucking up the pairs or
What
light
was
party.
What was the name of the big trio mechanic where it was like
Letter of the law.
the mirrors, the orb, and
Letter
what-
of the law.
Oh, where he puts everything from the fight into one section.
yeah, I thought that was
Literal.
going to be a lot harder.
Nope.
But we saw it one time and we were like, "Oh yeah, we've done that before." And we just do this after the tower. And
It's
pretty easy.
the solving of it's very linear is the big thing.
Again, it's all things you know already. It's not
Yeah.
throwing any curveballs in there like you'd expect a third fight would, right? I'm trying to think. No,
There's one
look at Gab's
curveball.
something.
There's one curveball. People forgetting that the last mechanic's the knockback.
Yeah.
That's the curveball.
true.
The first time we got past that, I thought it was going to be a Protean, so I was like on the edge of the hitbox and boom into the wall. I was like, uh-oh.
I will say that I think part of the reason that my group was really good at this fight is because if you're good at doing things boss relative, this fight like has no difficulty anywhere, because most of the issues that exist in this fight are knowing where to be when. And if you're doing things with the boss turning around and flipping and not going to consistent positions, you're going to have difficulty. But if you just look at the boss's hitbox, that's kind of what dictates everything you're already doing, right? When he's using divisive, you're looking at the boss's hitbox. When you're doing anything, right? You can just treat it that way. So I see True North divisive is a thing in Party Finder, and it hurts my soul a little bit. I'm gonna be honest with you.
It hurts on the ones where he's literally doing it based on where he's looking at the party. Like there's some, like I understand it at some, like at the very start of the fight, he goes to the center, looks north, does divisive. I get it there. Every other place, it's like, but he's looking right at you, so it's like, if I go to my marker, it's way more complicated of a process.
Our Reclear group just has like a little bit of a hybrid going on.
Yeah.
And if you have a team that's good enough to just be like, oh, guys, let's do this boss relative, like as the cast bar's going off and people just go, okay, like you can just do that, which is nice.
One of my favorite little things, what Sindolf was actually doing in our Reclear group, where on the first Shadow Messenger mechanic, the one where he does like all the clones and everything, the very first one, he stays close to the middle to aim the boss. So he aims both the lights in the same exact direction.
They sync up the lights. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just dodge once, no matter what.
Yeah. That was something I really appreciated seeing. Like that, little things like that I love seeing, even if it makes the mechanic easier to solve, because it's just good player initiative to be able to do that. And honestly, you see a lot of people not ever take that initiative. Sfia came up with that one. There you go. He's giving you credit. But we saw him do
That's
it.
surprising. Sindolf loves to claim other people's strats and call them his own. So,
damn.
No way.
At least it's not like the names get pawned off on you like other people.
Happy devices?
Yeah. Happy. You didn't get a
Thank
strat
fucking
named?
Christ they didn't name the limit cut strat that we did day one, because I had 30,000 views.
Cut.
I don't like that name. But like day one, I woke up once again. Video has 30,000 views. Oh no.
Oops.
No. That's what happened with Happy Brambles. I woke up and the clear VOD had 50,000, and I was like, oh no.
Happy Brambles.
You know what was the
Happy
funniest one
Brambles,
this
baby.
expansion? When we were looking at Momo's strat for Fountain of Fire, and then JP called it Mr. Happy Oji-san Fountain of Fire.
Happy Oji-san. Yeah.
Fountain of Fire. And I told Stall that, and it was her group, and she was just like, oh yeah, great strat, Haps. Really appreciate it. Fucking Pharaoh Brambles. That's what they should have been called. It's not fair. They keep making it me.
Any final thoughts for P11? Or move on? Get to the big one.
I thought it was a good thematic break from the rest of the expansion fights, actually. Normally I'd be kind of adverse to something like that, but no, I mean like literally like music and like visually, like where we were in the convocation of the 14. Like, yeah, that was cool. Like
Visually very cool.
Yeah, did anybody else like load into that fight for the first time in normal and go, "Oh shit, there's chairs," and count how many there were? And go,
I didn't even
my
count.
god!
Me.
And they did like the soy jack pointing meme.
Yes.
Guys!
Yeah.
I didn't even have to do that because the trailer has the Amarot remix, like the initial 6.4 trailer, cold opens with the Amarot remix. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, I know where we are. I didn't even have to count the chairs. I was like, oh, well, obviously. I didn't think I zoned in. I knew who the boss was. I was like, yeah, that's what the song's. Yep, that's what it's gonna be.
The biggest travesty about that fight is like Amarot is outside it. You can see it through the windows, but you don't get to go close enough to actually go and look out. You're literally in the middle of Amarot during that fight. It's really, really cool, but nobody ever looks around the room or outside the room after you've cleared it. So a lot of people are probably missing that. It's gorgeous, amazing arena. I really like the theme. It felt like a final send off to that theme.
Yeah.
Finally, we've had a million versions of it. This one felt really complete. So So maybe that's it, but it was nice.
7.0.
It was really good.
What is it? Olympus 4 or 5 coming up?
This would be 4. This would, if we have
Okay.
another one, it'll be 4. Yeah. This was the third time he's fucking died. And he's like, no, for real this time. I mean it. I'm done. That's
Sure,
it.
dude. See you in a couple months.
Also, very nice that we got to see his actual transform form,
Yep.
and not him being a primal warrior of light. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, as much as I think the fight is held back from being Fatebreaker 2, saved by the music, aesthetic, and voice acting again.
Yes.
Yep.
So
Yes.
just I'm so glad they voiced the whole tier. Although in the next fight, I have to question that from time to time because Athena loves to fucking run her mouth off. Like way more than any of the other bosses.
Yeah.
And that is the perfect segue into P12S, aka Kira Aurora Savage.
Oh my god. I've seen other people say the same thing, Sly. I was like, yeah, that's fair. That tracks.
Yeah. So let's get the conversation out the way. Door bosses.
Oh, I thought we were gonna have another conversation.
There's plenty of
Is she
conversations.
hotter as a woman, a moth, or the tentacle lady?
I just thought Kira
We can
Aurora
start with that
Savage.
conversation if you want.
Yeah, let's start with that. I just think of Kira Aurora.
I think the moth, I'm gonna go with the moth. I think that's the
Hard
correct
agree.
Yeah. I don't say hard agree in this case. Don't do that.
I think that's
Soft
kind of
agree.
the
What do you want me
point.
to do?
Can't really say soft agree to that.
You don't need an
Soft
adjective.
agree.
You don't need an adjective.
Anyway,
Whoops.
what were you saying, Sly?
Moth.
The real conversation. Door bosses.
The tentacle lady.
Where do we go from there?
She's got all those suckers on it. Never mind. Moving on.
Oh my god. So where do we go from here with door bosses? Where would you like to go?
Stop using them is where we should go, in the trash. Even if I like the door boss, I just don't want them anymore.
I never want to expect a door boss
Yeah.
ever. Door bosses are best done when you don't expect it,
Yes.
because then it gives you the when you're progressing a fight, like Promise, for example, and you're like, hang on, this boss is kind of melting, and you get to the end and it does the whole, it goes untargetable and enrages, and you're like, oh, this is a door boss. There isn't a phase 2. There is an actual second boss coming up. That's cool. But zoning into a fight, knowing, oh, I'm killing a boss that I'm going to have to get a checkpoint and then kill another boss, and this is actually only half of it, takes it away.
The problem is we've had that expectation since XDeath.
Yeah, Stormblood did it every tier. Shadowbringers made a good note of going back to more brute justice style stuff, where it's like you get there and you're like, oh, I don't know if I should expect a door boss or a transformation. Titan, you get Titan Maximum. You're like, oh, those rocks in the back are pretty much rendered the same as the arena and not backgrounds. That's pretty interesting. And then with Shiva, it's like there's probably something. Most people I think guessed it right. But then because you've had the whole expansion of that, you then get to Eden's Promise, and you suddenly have, Gaia's, rebel phase. And
It was so cool.
And it was great.
So cool.
Yeah.
I will also say that a second boss is cooler than a transformed first boss.
Yeah.
Because a transformed first boss has already beaten them. They're dead.
Yeah.
Gaia coming out made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it's just like, we just beat you. What do you mean you got tentacles now and you're stronger? Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I didn't like the phase 2 was because we beat Athena, and then she's just like, no.
She literally says it too. She literally is like, is there something wrong with me? Am I at fault? And then goes, no, it's not me.
No.
It's you.
Like literal 6th grade playground logic. Like force field. Like I'm alive actually.
Yeah, it definitely does. Whereas, I think it works sometimes where it's like in P8. Well, actually, P4 and P8 are good examples of, oh, this isn't working. Let me just, I'll transform. That's like this Dragon Ball Z logic. This was like you said, playground logic. So it doesn't work quite the same. I think that's especially evident with bosses that transition at 0% versus 50 and 60%. I think it's a very noticeable change because they want you to feel like you won, I guess. But oh no, you didn't.
What if they just brought back the fifth fight, the coveted fifth fight of the tier.
Do we get turn 3 back? Is that, or do we? Bro, you don't understand, dude. It's going all the way back to turn 3. The theories between turn 3 and turn 5, where everyone's like, "Why can't we? Why does everyone keep dying to Twister? Do we need to jump through the hoops in turn 3? Do we have to open all the chests in turn 3, or do we can't do Twisters?" I was like, "Listen, I understand you've played Final Fantasy 11, but shut the fuck up."
No, turn 3 doesn't need to exist. But a fifth turn, if they want to keep doing an extra boss in the tier, should.
Yeah. Just
Sure.
add 3
We
minutes
get
to
no
these
room.
fights. Just add 3 minutes to them.
The conversation of what would happen to loot in that case is like an entirely different thing, but I think having a fifth fight would be better. IMO. Because as much as I enjoy the I guess the consistency check of being able to get past door boss every time, I don't know. I feel like just being able to just beat that once and then just have like a whole new thing to work on would be better.
And I said, sorry, quick thought. And I said Exodeath, but Exdeath, excuse me. But really, the first time we ever got a door boss was
Faust.
Yeah.
And he was OG. Nobody, well, the only people who complained about Faust are the people who couldn't beat him. Sad as it is to say. And that was a non-zero number.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Faust would be much healthier today than it was back then because everybody can do damage a lot easier.
Yep.
So, I don't know, maybe bring that back. I had a point I wanted to make. It's gone.
Door
Sorry.
boss.
Something
Sorry.
about fifth floor.
Probably
Loot.
about the loot. Yeah.
No, it wasn't about the loot. Come back to me.
I was gonna say they solved the loot problem ages ago and then abandoned it. I think it was in second coil or final coil where they made the final fight drop both a sand and an oil on top of whatever. Just throw another sand or oil in one of the fights. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like
one of the things that I dislike about door bosses is what I call lockout anxiety. And
Yes.
it makes for a very unpleasant raiding experience.
You mean
my
where
opinion.
you do a few pulls and then if you fuck up, you just restart the entire fight
And-
because
Well,
of the time?
And while
the
you're in
anxiety
an instant-
causes
Yeah.
that, Sly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you're also
And then you're
thinking to
standing in
yourself,
front of the phase 2 and people are talking, "Oh, what if we stood here? What if we did this?" And someone's like, "We only have 30 minutes left. Just pull. We need info." It's like, I hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely hate that. It does set a cadence to Prague where you're going in, you're pulling the door boss, resetting, whatever. Then you have 2 hours of just like trying to blast, I guess. But depending on your Prague point, those 2 hours could be vastly different, right? You could be talking for an hour during it because if you need to, or you could just be chain pulling for an hour straight. And one of those feels really bad. And sometimes you're doing the wrong thing. And it's all because of the lockout anxiety, right? And door bosses only exist because the lockout exists the way that it does. So I think they're a little bit at odds. I think it makes for a worse experience overall than if you simply separated them into different fights. But I don't see that being a thing that is going to happen because it's a formula at this point, right? And they're not going to change the status quo. But they can make them better.
Much better.
Do you think?
I think
Do you
we
think
should
it'd
go
be
back to
solved?
water.
Do you think it'd be solved if they just reset the instant timer when you beat door boss?
Yeah.
If it just went back to 2 hours,
You
as
still
soon
have
as
to
you
beat
loaded in?
another boss though. Like I think that's
Yeah.
still the big thing is the dread of
Yeah.
like please don't meme please don't meme phase 1. Please don't meme phase 1. Please don't meme phase 1 when you want to get back to Prague Point.
Well, that bit there is like you can just reset the instance, right? You wipe twice, you go zone out, you zone back in, fresh instance. That's fine. It's more what happens after that point. I don't know. It's a good and bad thing, right? Your utilization of time and good utilization of time should be rewarded, but it feels like it's actively punishing things that are quite often like not really related to the game. If you take a break, like someone needs to eat, someone uses the bathroom, suddenly that's a completely different matter to if you're just pulling the boss on a regular instance, one boss only thing. In terms of door bosses, that's one of my major gripes. The other one is that I think a lot of the time a door boss, I think Exdeath did it right, where it's short and sweet. where you've got a short phase that loops, has variations, and then you're done. And that feels good because you're getting through a door boss. You're getting through like the taster, right? The starter, and then you have the main course afterwards, as opposed to 2 fully main course. You're like, this is too much food. I have 16 minutes of fight right now, and that doesn't. It's a lot. It's a lot to go through.
Yeah. It's not even just that they're two, because if anything, it's the problem is that they're not 2 full fights. They're 2 almost full fights to make a full fight. Because like sometimes you like one more than the other. This actually is a perfect example of it. And you almost wish you had more of that one, whereas the other one you don't necessarily, or the other one maybe if it was a little bit longer would be better in some capacity because of the design changes. And I think phase 2 definitely in that case, because phase 2 is about 4 minutes of actual fight and 4 minutes of I'm glad you're here. And that, whereas the first phase is like every mechanic is like genuinely like, okay, we're on this mechanic now, except for the final one, which is a choke check, which I also like the little choke check at the end of phase 1. And the phase 1 choke check I think is slightly harder than the choke check of phase 2 as well.
Do you mean the platforms all going or the super chains?
Super chain 2A, which is the platforms all going is, part of the 2B. Sorry, 2B is the choke check. 2A is like Bonds 3. Yeah, that's like Bonds 3 level of you got to make sure you do this like that. You got to understand it, know where you're going, go back, forward, side, spread, pairs. That shit's scary. Not to mention the half cleave being boss relative is also very scary if your tank is pixel too far to the right. So, there's, that's that. But phase 1, man. Phase 1's so good.
Phase 1 was really good. I really wanted phase 2 to be like a super amped up version of phase 1, but it felt like almost something completely different.
Pangenesis is the closest thing. Yeah, that's the only thing that really carries over is Pangenesis with the tilts.
I really expected Athena to turn into like a giant like Ultima version of like the moth form that she had, like something completely different. And then they just like stuck her in the middle of a bunch of snakes and tentacles. It was just like literally the same model.
Gave her really long fingers.
Yeah. She got the sticky hands.
When we saw the arena and there was the big snake around the outside, like for some reason there's just a giant snake.
Yeah.
I thought that we were going to get a return of high concept and we're going to have to make the snake this time. We didn't. We got a different high concept, but yeah, something else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've kind of split in the details about P12, but I want to start with comparing it to normal because, like, again, like normally with Final Fights, there's not a lot you can take from normal. There's not like it's vastly different. It's vastly different.
I don't think that's just specific to the final fight. This whole tier was like the normal modes felt incredibly empty, more so than previous normal modes that I've seen. And yeah, obviously, like if you think of like Promise, that normal mode where it's like you're on a scenic tour around all these little platforms, like get memories and eating cookies and going on a dinner party, all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. But I will say about that, I love the way that Savage still technically made you do that phase. They just took all the parts from the big statue and just made you do them in sequence, like the lions are from that phase. The two dudes that shoot the lasers are from that phase. Like they actually incorporated that whole phase into Savage, which I thought was fantastic. Going back to Eden's Promise,
the mechanics are there, but the storytelling isn't. The fluff isn't. It's gone. It's just boiled down to its raw ingredients. But
E12 was such a banger.
Yep.
Yeah. But P12 normal mode had Super Chain and the wings.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah,
and it also had the front back with that that appears in 2B. Like the random get to the sides you have in 2B to make sure you don't get knocked off.
Yeah, it starts with a P.
Yeah.
The guillotine.
Parthenos?
Parthenos. Something like that, yeah.
Pantheos.
That's kind of it, right? Like it's very empty. I mean, people still failed it, but it was very empty comparatively. And there's a lot of stuff I feel like P12 Savage doesn't have a ton of mechanics, right? It uses a bunch of the same ones in new and different ways, which make you think about the mechanics in completely different ways, which is good. In my opinion, it's more similar to Gaia, like the post door boss section of E12, where it introduces all these mechanics to you at the start of the fight and then gives you different ways of them all being combined together and the other relativities. This felt much more similar to that, right? Super Chain, you see everything technically in the first one, and the later two, you got to deal with everything else. The one exception to that, obviously, is Limit Cut, which I mean, we kind of got a taste of in normal mode, kind of, not really.
I remember thinking this is going to be a limit cut when I was targeting people one at a time with the AoEs. I was like, "Fuck, this is a limit cut in Savage, isn't it?"
And I'm glad you bring that up because that's another big thing I kind of wanted to talk about.
The limit cut discussion.
Okay, I want to say one thing about the limit cut.
Yeah.
While I think the phase itself conceptually is fine, there's one thing that really fucking annoys me, and I know
it's gonna be.
And I don't. Or do you? I think you might. Going into the phase, 8 angels appear. They have light and dark, and they alternate, and then they jump up in a random order, and that's supposed to inform you the order that the ads do the laser. Absolutely fucking nobody was going to pay attention to that and even remotely try to track which angels were jumping up.
It shows what colors the angels are for like literally a second, and then it's like gone, and then they all just jump up, and you're like, okay, what? Yeah. What I was doing when I started calling it out was I would literally watch for the angel to drop down in the middle. I'd look at the color, and then I'd prepare whatever I was going to say out loud when I was doing callouts for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was dumb. I don't know.
But remembering all what? Would it be fucking 8 of them? Was it 8? Yeah. It was. And the order they jump up in.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to put all that fucking effort into it. Just the laser goes off. Is it my turn? Yes or no?
Yeah.
So
I thought you were going to say that you were mad about how people call it limit cut when it's not actually supposed to be called limit cut, but that's an entirely different thing.
Oh, no, I call it limit cut. Bro, I still call chariot. And it's been 10 years since
limit cut is something different than the numbers.
It's called the Ram's voice, actually. No,
Dragon's voice, Ram's voice.
Yeah. Oh my god, we sound like the fucking weeb conversation.
Actually, the limit cut, those clones jumping up and down is kind of the clue to how to solve the mechanic at the end. Once you get all that data, it's literally teaching you what the rules of the beams and cleaves are, that what the bosses are going to do, what the little clones are going to do in the middle. Because now the reason that we failed at this mechanic for a very long time is our data collection was absolutely atrocious. But essentially the way that it works is that after a few of tracking those, you'll notice that they always work in a palindrome. Yes, 2 sets of 4s, which it's always going to be a palindrome. They're going to like mirror from start to finish. So if you have beam, cleave, beam, the next is going to be beam, cleave, beam. And you can do the same for any configuration, which tells you that there's always going to be 2 beams in the first 2 beams in the second 2. Sorry, in the first 4, 2 beams in the first and the last 4, which then tells you how you can bait those beams, tells you how to position people, and goes on from there. But if you don't get that first piece of information, you might be stuck at this mechanic for a really fucking long time.
I mean, it's not even just that. I mean, because one of the possibilities is cleave, beam, cleave. And that's just fucking
Me and Happy
awful.
had that realization after we sat there and watched footage for like 10 minutes, and we're like, okay, let's give this a try, guys. We got a plan. It's gonna go beam, cleave, beam. So the 1 and 3 need to be ready really quick, guys. So make sure the 1 and 3 gets out there quick. And then it ended up being the 1 and 3 were done with their baits before the 6-8 bait went off, and the 1-3 went in, and me and Happy went, "What's happening?" Yeah. And then it went like really late beam, and then like another beam, and we were like, "What the fuck just happened?" And we went back, and then that's when we realized that.
Yeah. Also, the fact that the cleave is there is insulting.
Yeah. What's up with that? Why is it a Pac-Man?
Why is it a Pac-Man? Why is it?
It's such a red herring.
You can't even like go that close to the middle of the room, or you're just gonna fucking die to the other thing anyway. And it's funny because we definitely had people die to it when like just pre-positioning to the actual like 270 cleave at some point. I just get hit by that. What are you doing up there? Oh my god, those fucking things are so... No, actually, the only other thing I would have brought up is how punishing the proximity element of it is.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. That was actually really,
That
really
shit
bad.
hurts really bad.
Yeah. Makes you think you're doing it wrong. It's like one of those like awkward data point collection things where you're like, wait, are we doing this incorrectly? Are we doing... What? Wait. Why did I die that time? And then you realize that somebody's like a step too far in, and then it makes all the other ones, like the next one's now a step too far in because like now they're closer to you, and then it just starts murdering people like super, super quick. And the healing is, again, depending on the beam order, can be really fucking awful. So
For a moment in the middle of our prog, we thought it was if the lower number person already took their bait and then they moved to the next spot. If the lower number person was in front of the person who was about to get hit, they would get hit by the line AoE, get a magic vuln, and then take the share and take too much damage.
yeah.
So we were like trying to like position like people in front of each other, and then we just realized it was just shitloads of proximity damage.
Yeah, because then that was killing people because somebody was a step forward to try and prevent that from happening. Yeah, so... Oof. That shit hurts. Everyone I've watched do it, like get there, like, are we doing this wrong? Like, we need to VOD review. Like, it's happened to every group who's gotten there for the first time because
It's because the first dash starts outside the mini arena.
So it does, like,
That's why the
nothing,
first one does nothing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then all the rest are not the same. So that shit, that limit cut's fucking frightening in every way, shape, and form. Tank LB?
Very tough mechanic. I would say, when you compare it to like its counterpart in the previous tier was Lions. One of them's downtime, one of them's uptime. But execution wise, limit cut is much harder. The actual like steps you need to go through, I think, are much more precise.
Yeah.
The only other consideration there is that you got to hit the boss when you're doing Lions. But yeah, limit cut is a very, very difficult mechanic. Probably one of the most difficult that have been in a Savage ever.
Yeah.
It's up there for sure. Yeah.
It was, dare I say, wormhole-esque. Not as intense, but the fact that you needed to understand multiple different movements for a different number, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not nearly as intense, but there's still that kind of like, oh, we've done 30 pulls, but I've only never gotten 5, and I have no idea what to do on 5 or 7.
And then, on top of that, you get 2A after, and you're like, please don't fuck up 2A. Please don't fuck up 2A. Please don't fuck up 2A. I don't want to do limit cut again.
Well, too bad.
Do all of you feel like, even among the many variations of it, limit cut gets overused?
Recently. There's 3 limit cuts, at least some form of the markers being used in this tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention top.
I want more
and
new
DSR,
mechanics,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
But
And
they're
that's what
kind
I
of
was gonna
running
ask
out
next.
of options.
I mean,
Slap a limit cut on it.
there's only so many
PlayStation.
logically, like how many things you can actually do that are
Exactly,
new and
right.
are not community.
I mean, we've seen
They flavored the PlayStation into also having
it's like Thea
shapes.
said. Yes, PlayStation. We've seen PlayStation so many times this expansion. What else we've seen? Limit cut. Trying to think what else.
Don't forget spreads and stacks. The favorite.
I mean, that's just
tried and true.
Yeah, that's just general.
Yeah, there's only so many things you can do in a game like this.
Which is why I think 2A
I
is
feel
pretty
like-
impressive, because 2A is actually all the most basic components like just thrust upon you incredibly quickly, and it's actually quite satisfying to pull off 2A. Correct.
Like cycles, but harder.
Yeah.
Cycles from E11. Yeah.
The tripwires. Yeah, I actually thought we were going to get tripwires at some point here from fucking Criterion. That shit was nice. I liked tripwires.
were the
That was a
tripwires?
cool mechanic, yeah.
In Criterion? In
Yeah, I don't
Criterion,
think-
there were
Southwest.
tripwires, not anywhere else. I was
Yeah.
hoping we were going to get tripwires.
No, what are the tripwires?
Oh, it was on the last
Southwest Northeast
boss.
mechanic?
Yeah. It's on the last boss where you have to have like the people marked as 1 need to break the 1 tether, and the people marked as 2. So like you would have to like separate the
guitar
groups.
strings. That's what I called it.
Oh
yeah,
guitar
yeah.
strings, yeah. That was
No,
a nice little
that
change
mechanic
up.
was cool. I like that one.
Yeah, and you have to do like one half of the room first. You have to figure out which half of the room has to go first, and then you have to do the other half, and then you have to dodge, and it's like, yeah, that was Criterion. Actually, I thought was pretty creative overall.
I'm
Like,
excited for the new Criterion, actually.
I think them having to design it around 4 people really kind of let them, like, force them to be a little bit more creative in terms of visual indicators. So I really like it.
I got some fresh copium for you. What about not this next criterion, but we know we're getting one more after this one that's coming up.
Say it.
What if that's the 48-man for this expansion?
I knew he was going to say it.
48-man criterion.
48-man criterion.
What if it is? What if
Okay,
that's the 48?
I'll raise you this.
That'd
Not
be
only is
cool.
it the 48-man criterion, it uses only the secret bosses that aren't part of, like, the variant secret bosses, the puppet, and whatever else we're getting. Because that was my biggest disappointment on Criterion, was the automaton boss being missing.
That boss was cool.
Yeah, that boss was really cool.
Yeah. So that's the Ultra Copium, is that there's Criterion Ultimate, and it's only the secret bosses of the 3. There you go. And 48-man, I guess, for Sfia's Copium. Throw that in there. Yeah. So, Sly, we're going to let you actually get to your next point now that we're done.
Sorry.
Oh no. Again, I started that conversation. Good conversation. So yeah, we kind of skipped around
That's fine.
P12 a little bit. Again, let's kind of move into the phase 2 of Kira Aurora, and yeah.
No, now it's Emma.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad Sly and I are on the same page. We're just referencing VTubers.
Yeah.
One's a
I
moth,
see.
one has tentacles. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So obviously, all of you said you highly prefer P2 over I'm sorry, P1 over P2.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Anything-
in my case, I don't think that's because P2 is awful. I think it's because P1 is really good.
Yeah, same.
Right.
I mean, P2 wasn't bad. It's just P1 was so much better. I expected the P2 to be like insanely cool, but
Yeah.
Was there anything
it
about
missed on
P2
me.
Was there anything about P2 that stood out
Caloric.
besides caloric for the wrong reasons?
Fucking caught me immediately. Besides,
I
caloric.
knew somebody was gonna go there.
It's the
I just
only
wanted to see
mechanic in
who.
the whole phase. I have to like. No, actually, I actually think that thematically and visually, it's very, very satisfying to go through. I think that even again, you can make something simple be more enjoyable by what you surround it with. And in this case, I think that, again, saves P2 when it doesn't really deliver on a mechanical front. The zooming out, hilarious the first time you do it. Really funny when people start using gap closers and shit.
I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I have to try it. Whoops, no. Elusive jump.
And then I learned on Avant doesn't go off the side, and now Whoops just stares at me fucking every time
I watch Happy
Whoops,
because
I'm
the
glad
Onavant,
I understand. I am so glad I have someone who understands.
it's so funny. No, but Happy can Onavant as a dancer, and like since you're so small, you don't see the animation, so it looks like a literal flea, just like boing, and just like teleports to the other side. I laugh every time. It's so funny.
Yeah. But then you also have like shapes blocking AoEs with like 2 different debuffs. It's like, yeah, is it hard to do? No. Is it really like cool to see all the shapes on the arena and then solve it correctly and then have all them explode with the lasers firing? It's yeah.
That mechanic would have been really, really cool to blind prog, I think, which is why I think it kind of missed on me, because we knew the solution as soon as we got there because of other teams.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, Classical Concepts was one of the coolest mechanics that we've had in a while in terms of like how it works geometrically, the solution to it, the sort of way you train your brain to solve it as well. Like there's that, you can feel the process get easier for yourself as you go through, you know what you're looking for. And that felt really, really like, immediately it's completely overwhelming, right? There's just a shit ton of shapes on the ground. And you don't know what they do, what they mean. You have to get a couple pulls, figure out what the rules are, and then figuring out the steps is easy enough. Executing the steps is easy enough. And that small process is just super rewarding.
Yeah,
I feel like just to get the steps down in your head.
Yeah.
Might I interest you in rhythm games if you like doing stuff like that?
Yeah, Whoops looked at me when we got there. It was like, you
Me and
figured it out
Happy were like,
immediately.
oh yeah, baby. Pattern recognition, funny colors everywhere. Oh yeah, I got this.
Well, I am a drummer, so maybe that's
Yep.
what.
That'll
you
do
go.
it.
Yep. And another thing about that little bit on top of it being kind of just satisfying to pull off, it's also the first mechanic of the fight, because that is the 2-minute mark of the fight. And all you've done up to that point is UAV online, which I think is
easy.
It's weird how that first 2 minutes of prog goes for that fight. It's just, I can't equate it to anything else except, oddly enough, P9, where their first 2 minutes of prog just go like immediately. So that was, I think that's I think the UAV phase, while it looks really cool, it consumes way too much of the fight length, given how simple it is to solve, because it is the first 2 minutes and the last 2 minutes of the encounter, which is nutty in an 8.5 minute encounter.
I was kind of disappointed at the last 2 or 3 minutes of phase 2.
Oh yeah, I think they did that with every boss. Like, I know a lot with the early fights we kill them, so you don't get to see it. But every phase ends with a choke check, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
P9 is dual spell and raid wide AOE's between them. P10 is the fucking rotating AOE from normal mode for no reason. It's like the weirdest like inclusion that you could have. P11 is just more like divisives or whatever. And then and then 12 is 2B, which I guess is the least like it. And then this is Exaflare and UAV 2. So it's just they all end that way, like this 15%, 20% like choke check.
I mean, at least I hate to admit it, but P8 comparatively, the second phase had some more interesting mechanics.
Dominion.
Dominion, yeah. I mean, like, it wasn't anything, like, spectacular, right? But it was something new that we had to be like, oh, shit, like, this is an entirely new thing that we need to choke check on, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, like, right off the bat, natural alignment, which was, like, the first, like, 10 pulls, you're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, why are we blowing up? Like, and then, like, the specific little tiny movements, and then, yeah. I liked it a lot more than 12.
P8 could do that because of the damage amp they had in the second phase. They knew that you had to be seeing those mechanics.
Yeah.
Part of the problem that they have had historically is that when groups have high damage, they just don't see the last mechanics. And if you have the difficult mechanics right at the end of the fight, you just don't interact with them.
So their solution to that,
exactly. So their solution to that is they put the difficult mechanic at about like 60 to 75% through the fight, and they just like chuck a bunch of junk at the end, and then you just kind of have to do it, or you just don't have to do it if you have good damage, or if you have a bunch of deaths, then you have to do these like the DLC mechanics that you never see if your group's good and has high damage.
DLC mechanics.
DLC.
It makes sense.
Oh man.
Yep. Yeah, you don't have very many bitch pogs in this kind of case where it's like skip bitch pog 2 or disband kind of situation, you know?
Yeah.
Even then, like, there was a bunch of stuff after that, right? That fight was just, I think, a little low tuned and gear scaled, art scaled that fight. But you're not going to be skipping harrowing. You're not going to be skipping light and dark or dark and light, whatever it's called. These things are still going to. You're not be skipping limit cut and P9. They put them early enough so that you have to interact with these things, and then the tail end of the fight is like, oh goody, we skipped a pairs and out. That's it.
Yeah. You don't skip anything important. Yeah, it's because for anyone who the A12 reference, your goal was always to skip as much of the last phase as possible, because it does actually like loop and get harder the second time. So if you have to see that with the puddle dropping plus the judgment lasers and everything, it gets significantly harder. So that's been like I think that is the tier that was like the most skippable in terms of stuff at the end. I can't think of another tier since that's been as skippable.
No, they like kind of overreacted to that in Stormblood by just making every boss repeat at 50% because they had door bosses, and then they just like gave us half a boss fight in the last one that they just looped. So that was never a problem there. And then all through
Shadowbringers.
Shadowbringers.
It's really just Bitchpog. Well. I think Bitchpog's the only one where that's really noticeable, because like Voidwalker, like you maybe you got eventually skip a cycle when you're overgeared or something, but
but I mean you're still doing multiple cycles, right?
Gaia, right? Like triple APOC and advanced relativity.
The easiest.
Those were awesome.
Yeah, you're not skipping those though, because that's one thing they can do when they have a shorter fight.
Yeah,
is you're not going to be able to do so much damage that you skip as much of that.
It was just the big so on that topic, you're thinking they probably put all those like big quietus like spam at the end of Gaius because of that. Yeah.
Big enrage sequence, and then like triple APOC, and then there's like a tank buster, and she autos for a little bit, and they just paired out the ending.
Yeah.
And even that's in like a short fight, right? Like that enrage sequence is like 15% of the fight probably, which is a lot to skip.
Yeah.
But anyway,
not a problem here. Yeah.
Something about that fight, just the pacing felt really, really good, even with that long enrage sequence.
Well, because that enrage sequence is from a mitt and healing perspective is not a roll over and like it does not roll over and die, which I was actually about to get into a little bit. I know we still have only talked about Classical 1. We haven't even talked about the disaster that is Caloric 1. So I guess actually I'll get us back on that, Sly, since I know you are waiting to get us back on that. Don't do Neverland strat for Caloric.
Dude, I see the merit, but like looking back at footage and like our logs, that was a lot of wipes, even though it seemed so easy.
Yeah. So Caloric is the only mechanic, in my opinion, of phase 2. And only Caloric 1, because Caloric 2 is kind of just a joke.
Pangenesis.
No, it's solved now. It doesn't because Caloric 1, once it's solved, still is a disaster.
Yeah,
half the time. Pangenesis, maybe. Like
you'd think so.
Paul gets screwed up, but it's just
have a cheat sheet open, Smile.
Yeah, Caloric.
How many times did I say that during prog after we wiped?
Let's not talk about that.
100?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, Caloric 1 is that's a mechanic, dude. That's a fucking mechanic.
It's tight. Yeah.
So my experience with Caloric was we had a lot of the issue. The issue. You remember I talked about in P10 that Bonds 3 would be significantly easier if they added a second to the debuff timers before they went off after the mechanics. If they added another second to the caloric timers, this would never happen. But if you are unlucky and there's high server load, apparently, is the issue, then the fires will go off and you'll gain a stack after your previous stack has fallen off, meaning that you are then carrying the caloric cannot move buff into Exaflare.
And then the Exaflares, and then you blow up and die.
So it's funny.
Yes.
It's funny you mention that because that's how they fixed it. They added a second, and now people are moving too quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, they added a second. They added a second to it. That's how they fixed it. Yeah.
It only happened to us
once.
And it was well, it happened to Balana because he moved, but it happened to me because I went slightly out of the hitbox, and as the cast was finishing, I hit Stardiver. So the buff fell off, and then me pulling to the boss with my jump gave me a stack, and then we blew up. And I was laughing so hard, I can't... I need to find that clip. It was really funny.
Your Stardivers scared the shit out of me throughout all of Prague.
Dude, that clip of the tethers...
I have another one. It happened again in a replay.
Really?
Yeah. It was even worse than the first time. When we were tethered together during Classical, and I'm just like, okay, he's standing in front, and then the fucking tether is just all the way up in the air. It's the scariest thing of all time.
It reminds me of back in E3 when I would tether a ninja, and they had old assassinate, and my tether would go up to the head of the boss and then back down really fast, and it'd scare the shit out of everyone.
Yep. That's another one. God. Fucking Dragoon.
Good old Dragoon.
Good old Dragoon.
It's going to be gone in 7.0, so say goodbye.
Yep. Sly's on.
Anyways.
Sly's not. It's okay,
Don't worry, Sly. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll just be different, okay?
Give me the Chewbacca noise, Sly. I know you want it. Give me Chewbacca.
Yeah, you Dragoon mains, think about what they just did to Summoner, and
I'm trying not to think about it.
Oh, yeah, we're fucked.
Hey, Astro mains. By the way,
yeah,
some Astro mains are gonna be like, "Thank you, Thank you so much.
It'll be okay. I had fun. You know, it's not gonna be fun is remaking the guide.
It was
You know what?
good while
Actually,
it lasted.
the guide is gonna be really easy to make. So I'm just gonna say, press your Legos when they're up,
Yep.
and the video ends.
You're
I'm
gonna
telling
get
you, they're just going to put the jumps
a
on
Nidhogg
GCDs. That's it. They're going to get rid of the 4 and 5 part of the combo, and your jumps are going to be on GCDs, and they're going to like change one of your 3 base GCDs.
And they're gonna make them all work like the high jump change, where you don't change your coordinates at all, and they're gonna let you move while you're doing them too.
All right, now I don't. I actually
Except Stardiver.
I think they're still going to fuck you somehow.
I think they're gonna get rid of Stardiver.
Yeah,
but,
we still won't be able to. We still won't be able to weave Stardiver and anything. They're not going to change that.
they're gonna cut so much shit, Sly.
Listen,
They're gonna cut
Life
so
of the
much shit.
Dragon is going to be on a 60-second cooldown. It's going to be a button you press.
No.
It turns your GCDs into
No.
jumps, and then it
No.
turns one of your GCDs into Primal Range.
No.
I mean, Stardiver.
No.
You think that? No, that's not going to be Life of the Dragon. That's going to be Dragon Sight is going to change it to Star Driver.
So what you're saying? Sfia, is we're gonna be Reaper too.
No, you're going to be Warrior 3.
Yeah, I was thinking Warrior. Yeah,
God. All right. Anyways, P12 something
Yeah.
about the
caloric. Yeah,
Neverland
Neverland Strat. Yeah, it's funny though because we fixed it by not doing Neverland Strat, but still doing Neverland Strat.
Yep.
We were doing essentially instead of going out diagonally, you just look at where the people are merging. So if they're merging north and south like this, you just go out instead of diagonally, and it makes it easier somehow, I guess. But do you know what our prog strat was, Sfia?
It was
Whoops
everybody
loved.
rotate clockwise and then listen to Mr. Happy.
I literally would say A and 1 to D, 2 and 3 out.
Easiest prog of my life, dude. I just yes, sir. Me when Mr. Happy tells me to do something, salutes.
Yes, chef. Yes, chef.
Fucking runs to the spot.
It's like I'm on a fucking runway, just like
It was
telling
awesome.
the airplanes where to go.
No, it low key worked. It was great.
Once I
Loved
stopped
it.
fucking it up. There was a point where I said the entire thing wrong, said, wait, that's wrong, don't move yet, and then fixed it. And then we still made it in time.
My favorite pulls were the ones where we all rotated and then we all like looked at you and you went, just blew up.
So can we actually call this happy calories?
Yes, happy calories.
Calories.
They're like empty calories, except you're way happier about them. There we go. See, what am I going to go into every raid group for that? So they're like, hold on, we're doing this strat. Haps, we need you here. Join our Discord real quick.
You see it on the PF now. Happy calories. P2.
When do we get the spectator slot for raids for ninth man's, the official ninth man spectator slot?
Boy.
That'll be when that
I
happens.
am
awesome.
Happy.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you.
Bro, we can't get the duty recorder to work. Don't even be excited about it.
I'm so glad you bring that up, Happy, because that was going to be one of my closing questions as we near the end of this conversation about Anabasios. The importance of a ninth man this tier.
Man.
Always huge.
Always huge, but I will say this as a Savage tier felt more important to have a ninth man, like not just looking at things or even looking at what other groups are doing, genuinely keeping your fucking head on your shoulders. It's just such a thing. If you don't have like someone as like a dedicated shot call, even if you do, having that extra gut check on what you're doing, just way better, way fucking better. Like
Way
better,
better.
like even better than like looking at top. Like having a ninth man calling shit for top. Like I didn't think about that much, not as much as I thought about it here. Weirdly enough, the Discord screen share into please call it so we can fucking fight the boss, please. But I still had to call caloric, so
Happens.
happens, yeah. And then
I was
Pangenesis
playing
was-
Destiny.
Pangenesis, we were just given the rules, so we really didn't have much of a prog on Pangenesis other than getting yoinked for that rescue strat.
Right.
Not much
Yeah, I was
of a
gonna say
prog,
actually-
he says.
It's about caloric before we move on to Pangenesis. It is like the anti-Final Fantasy tank players mechanic. Because they all just have to fucking wiggle and move around and just AD, and just then you blow up. And there was several pulls where like you've got people just moving because they're just used to moving. And it's just you've never been punished that hard for that sort of movement in Final Fantasy before. I don't think ever. Like, there are times where you have to be standing, like, everybody stand in this little spot, and that, but never
You can
for
wiggle.
an extended period of time do you have to have very deliberate movement. And I've learned that not many players in this game move very deliberately. They kind of meander like a cat. And then they'll end up where they want to be, but in their own way. And sometimes that's just too long.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, goodbye.
Also, you have the people who are allergic to standing on other players, so they're like a pixel off to the side, but then their movement needs to be in the opposite direction. So yeah, you also have that as well. That's a big one. I don't know what it is with people, man. They're just like, I need to see my character. Get off!
How am I supposed to see my glam?
Fucking dies. Oh man. Yeah, and then Pangenesis. Cool, I guess. I mean, we had it solved already, so like that's as far as it goes. So it's like,
Yeah.
But that fucking description for that, a bit literal Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Yeah.
Also, to my knowledge, it doesn't actually work exactly the way it explains. Because 2 plus 0 doesn't equal 1 and 1. 2 plus 0 equals 1 and 0. So it doesn't actually do what it says there.
Oh, where it distributes it? Yeah.
Yeah, it says that it will take the sum of both and then redistribute it to both.
You know why that is, though? It can only redistribute amongst the debuff itself. Like, if you don't have a debuff, it has nothing to... it doesn't have a number with which to redistribute. It's treating you as a 0, but it only redistributes amongst the debuff. Because it says the debuff's number will change. But if you don't have one, then how can it redistribute?
Then why would it not go back to 2 on that person?
Because it's still taking the total. It's still doing the math, but it's only redistributing on the person who actually has the debuff. But also, it not doing what it says would be a lot like a Yu-Gi-Oh card, as Clee says. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they had a really good idea. I think it was conveyed very poorly, but its resolution, when you actually understand it and have a formulated strat, is very cool to see unfold, right? The steps you go through, I'm in this tower, you're repeating yourself, I'm in dark tower, I'm in dark tower, I'm in dark tower. Mm-hmm. And then the reaction based on every single one, the cadence of the pairs and the splitting off, and then the little slime popper. I remember the first time we saw a slime, we're like, what the hell is that doing there? Thought it was a fail state or something. We didn't think about it too much, but yeah, spawning slimes, mid-mechanic, very cool. The cadence just feels really cool to go through, and all the steps, and then when you get to the end, and it's just nice. It's very, what's the word for it? Like a feel good mechanic to
rewarding.
Get right. Yeah, rewarding.
You know what it is? It's that.
And it was on a 2-minute window.
Yeah, it sure was. So there's a lot of very weirdly placed 2-minute windows in phase 2, but they're not the mechanics don't make it that hard to do necessarily. It's just it is in the middle of something every time. So I
loved Pangenesis. This is a very cool mechanic. I love mechanics that are so complex initially that I need to make an echo macro for myself, and I have it on my screen, and I can cross check my job and what I'm doing, and then I feel really good when I get it done. It was a really fun mechanic.
Yeah.
I will say that in both Doorboss and this fight, the 2-minute here sucks if you're playing Black Mage. Because can you imagine doing ley lines during Pangenesis? Ley lines during Super Chain?
You can't.
No, you literally cannot. This is why they buffed Black Mage, by the way. Not because they think they need more damage, because they're we're just going to delete a ley lines from each fight. You don't need that CD. We'll give you some Xenoglossy damage.
I was joking during reclears because the Black Mage staff dropped and Balana was playing Black Mage for reclears. I was like, hey, so are you excited for when they're going to make ley lines a personal buff instead of a thing on the floor?
Just follows you around, yeah.
There's no way that they don't with the way they're doing. Yeah, there's no way they don't with the way they're doing encounters these days and mechanics and the amount of movement that you need. It doesn't work with Final Fantasy fight design anymore. It's a little bit outdated.
With older fights, you used to be able to work around the ley lines, which was cool, but now you can't. You just literally cannot.
Yep.
It's funny in phase 1 for the very first mechanic, he drops the ley lines where we start the fight, but if that's where the laser baits are, I need to cuts it as close as possible to the lasers going off, and then just zips to someone across with manipulation. One time I was too far and he tried to pick me and he died immediately. You saw his body zoom over and also hit the ground at the same time. Good snapshot.
Awesome.
I mean, I like the way. I think the most satisfying thing about Pangenesis is how weighty the tower hits feel.
Yeah.
It's like
every time is awesome.
yeah. So, but it's just it's one of those. I lost a lot of enjoyment because we just had the solution. So, you know, which is weird because like I think back to like High Concept, and I don't feel that way about High Concept. Weirdly enough, in P8, like even though we knew it, it was still like from beginning to end, just doing it right was also really satisfying. I didn't get that as much here, other than the impact of the towers.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I think
It's
High
just how I
Concept,
feel.
it's probably because High Concept was a little more involving because there was a downtime mechanic. So they're like, you have to do more individual steps yourself
Maybe.
that don't include pressing buttons unless you're a healer, because, you know, we love equal responsibility in this game.
Healers asked to heal. They can't DPS. They don't have a choice now.
Yep.
If they can't DPS, they actually press their heal buttons. What do you know?
Well, no, I mean more like there's still a huge disparity in mechanics like that in downtime. Where
yeah.
nobody has to do anything except the healer has to still be pushing buttons and
I
mitt and
pressed
stuff.
mitt. That's
Bro,
something.
yeah, one button that doesn't count. It doesn't
I'm
count.
helping.
I'm helping.
Samba.
I'm helping.
I'm
That's it.
helping.
That's it. I'm helping. And then we kind of skipped over Hexes and the Tank Buster. I love the Tank Buster, by the way, the Crush Helm, just for what it is. Because I always thought it was really stupid in Thunder God Sid. I was like, why even bother with the 4? It doesn't hit hard enough. Who gives a shit about these 4 Vuln stacks? Here, she's like, I'm going to make you give a shit.
The Asuna was cool.
Yeah.
Little thing, but
Pour
I like
cover
how it
for when the
involved
heavens
more
fall.
I hated that line.
I fucking love all her voice lines so much.
So long.
Yeah, she was like every time she does
Keeps
something.
going. Doesn't shut up.
Talk emoji every single time that she says something. It reminds me of going back to the Evilise. Reminds me of what's her face, Agrius, because when she does an attack, she literally talks for about 16 seconds straight during one of them, and she was like,
Blah, 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 blah.
They got a lot to say, dude. A lot to say.
it's very Matsuno for them to not stop talking. It's a very Matsuno thing to do. Oh man, and the X's were one of those really weird, out of place. Why did they put this here? Mechanics, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They didn't even kill you half the time if you got hit.
Nope.
And they gave you a damage down, but it
Yeah.
didn't matter. Yeah, you could get hit. You could eat one.
Our healers,
Be
yeah,
fine.
we very frequently had like a healer
All the time.
or a tank get hit, yeah. Even a
And the
DPS.
check was so baby mode that it didn't even matter.
yeah. It's not like where you get like a damage down in P8 and you're like, is that it?
Wipe it.
P8 a special case, but even still, you know, or top damage down. Nope. DSR
Done.
done. Yeah. Nothing quite.
Just
like
you
that.
wait till the next dungeon comes in and the relics at the same time. Top checks ain't going to exist anymore.
Yep. And you have the new pots and food right now.
Oh, yeah, that'll help too.
Yeah, that's big.
I actually want to go back into top.
I don't. I like top, but I don't.
I like
you guys
top.
feel
I
like-
like top when I'm doing top with people who know how to do top.
So nobody. There's like
Yeah.
three-
So exactly.
So you have trust issues too, huh?
Not trust issues, just
Top issues.
top issues.
Yeah, because top you can absolutely trust everyone you're with and have no good feeling about what's about to happen.
Yeah, that fight don't give a fuck.
You're like, wow, I really love raiding with all these people. Pantocrator starts.
Nah.
Change my mind. That's it. Oh god. And then it's caloric 2, which is easier than caloric 1.
Yep. Yep.
What?
Unless you have the rough divide incident.
What? Oh no.
Our gunbreaker ended up not like he unbound his rough divide key. He took it off the hotbar because there were a few wipes in there because he had the last dodge and went out of the boss's hitbox and just you're bursting there. He's pushing buttons, and one of them happens to be a gap closer that moves him from out of the boss's hitbox to the edge of the boss's hitbox.
Yep.
It was bad. So there's a tweet of like the log, and he's searching for Rough Divide. 0 results. He didn't cast it. He literally unbound it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Very easily fixable by just swapping positions with a ranged or something. He was up the front. But
I was just thinking in my head, how would that happen? Even how would a tank end up back there?
History must be rewritten. Let it be rewritten.
I think in our kill, Vi does a life window doing nothing but throwing spears the whole time. Because he was like ended up with the deck there. We had deaths after that point, and we still made the check. Those sorts of things that are like unheard of and getting a final floor clear in the last several years now. So the fact that it was that lenient was kind of surprising. That you can have made like, bro, we're on hour 25, literally hour 25 of raiding at that point. I would have been doing more on Summoner because I just I don't know what the hell I was doing on Black Mage at that point. I was a bit delirious. And it still died. I think that this check was, I want to say 2 lakhs, but I don't know where the bar is will be like, oh, this is okay, because it's kind of arbitrary, right? Like they obviously wanted this to have an easier DPS check than they've done previously.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that for sure, but it felt like it was, if you can do the mechanics and not catastrophically fail, you're killing the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can just leave your paladin dead for the last half a minute and still also which is exactly what we did. I didn't even realize. I went back and watched our clear. I was like, oh yeah, he dies there. I'm sure they get back up.
Nope.
No one even made the attempt. That's it wasn't like, oh, I can't yet. It was, I'm not going to.
It was partially because I don't think anybody thought it was gonna die, but it did.
Yeah, it died. We saw another. I think we had 4 seconds still before the arena would have actually cracked. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
No, we had 2 seconds left before the arena would have cracked because the boss.
It was kind of close.
We killed it at 8:45, and I think 8:47 is the latest kill that is recorded. So I'd assume that's as you're dying, the arena cracks kind of kill.
Yeah,
so.
like the final dot tick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, the last phase, again, UAV Online is just, it's kind of a nothing burger again.
Do you think that there's no way, because of the amount of time it takes to develop these fights, was that a nod at the top stuff? Or was it just an awkward coincidence?
It was an awkward coincidence because they would have had to have been developing this way before Top even came out. They would have known. They didn't go ha ha ha. I'm sure they'll think this is funny that people were doing this shit. Let's make a reference to. No.
That said,
that's 7.0.
That said, it is a little bit topical, I guess, in that regard.
Good pun.
But it's no, obviously not related, but it's nice to think it would be. Everything else in that fight, though, that's the lot of it, right? The Classical 2, actually, I thought was cool once.
Yeah.
Yeah. That mechanic exists just to see it once, oh, I'm doing it right, and then haha, no, you're not. And after that, it's the same process, right? You're doing the same thing, and then you've got to go through the extra mental step afterwards. And so doing that it's not super difficult. And then, same mechanic, slightly different variation on the way that the mechanics resolve afterwards. And there isn't really anything else in the fight. As you said, it's all kind of, there's UAVs, there's a couple of tank busters.
Even the fight's kind of a palindrome. It ends the way it started. It literally, all the mechanics, except for one, I think that there's a tank buster and an Exa that happened just in random spots-ish. But yeah, it's largely, ends how it started.
Stormbloodish.
No, it's not even Stormbloodish. It's just that it's the first mechanic is the last mechanic, and Classical is the second to last, is the second mechanic and the second to last mechanic, and Caloric is the third and the third to last mechanic. And then Pangenesis
in a way that kind of mirrors it. Kind of mirrors Stormblood, but it's different. It's just a mirror. It's just a mirror. That's it.
It's a book. It closes like this. There you go.
Yeah.
And that's the closing chapter on Savage for this tier. See, I made it all work.
Expansion.
Oh god damn it!
Not just this tier.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant to say. Expansion. Yeah.
We have a very, very long time of this tier. How do you think it's going to hold up longevity wise?
I think well. I'd rather be
it'll hold
rocking.
up well.
Yeah.
As the entire tier, yeah.
Yeah. I think as Fidelos and this hold up very well, both. I think it's only if Abyssos was the last tier, that would have been a disaster.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think at least. And one other thing, going back to the DPS check, I'll say this. I think P8 Phase 2 would have felt very similar if not for the Phoenix buff. Because the Phoenix buff just made clearing that last section wildly inconsistent for groups because of the damage variance on... I don't like blaming damage variance, but I genuinely think that 1% they took away was not because it needed it or was overtuned. I think it was because of the wildly varying damage that you get in that second phase.
It's probably been harped on a million times. It has been harped on a million times that there is kind of a problem in the game with the way that jobs are currently designed and short form phasing.
Yeah.
The top was really bad for this as well. That having strict checks on short timers with such high variance is just unhealthy. It doesn't reward consistency because you can consistently be inconsistent now. And then slap a 100% multiplier on that. Hooray! Let's see how much variance we can have now.
Having to dance partner a red mage for the transition into phase 5, the wave cannon shit, because they actually have 3 melee combos and there's no 1 minute window there, was certainly a play to have to make.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Or just Dragoon, and then if they get that crit variance.
Dragoon just actually trolling phase 1 if your group's struggling with damage because you just miss a life window on your opener. Because that's just how the job's designed.
Right. Yep.
It's just so weird.
And then Ninja's just like Lamau Hyosho.
until you crit none of the Hyoshos.
Yep. And my clear for top, I was playing Ninja. Over the entire poll, 2 of my Hyoshos crit out of 13.
Bro, I think top's instance was broken. Like I don't think I've ever complained about Dancer procs so much in a single fight than I did with top. Like, I'm literally screaming at my procs in, like, every pull. Like, if you pull 6 hours of pulls, it's, all right, no proc, no fucking proc. I can sure use a proc. It was awful. I was just yelling at it the whole fucking time. Yeah. So, good time. Good time, I swear. Yep. And one thing that was a result of top was I'm fixing limit break damage variance. It's 6.3. That was definitely because of top.
Yep.
Apparently, it's been tuned to the higher end of its previous variance, which I've seen reports that now it is easier to clear final phase top because of that.
Yeah.
Because you get 2 of them, right?
Cool.
Oh, 3.
3, yeah.
Wait, 3? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the caster one as well on the range, but it's a lot. But yeah, in regards to this tier, none of the fights had tough checks at all. I think our first 11 clear had 5 deaths. You want
to know what happened on our first 11? Because it wasn't our first 11. The 0.1% wipe to the random tank LB.
We were on Enrage. It was about to die, and I was like, all right, send LB. And then Valor was like, okay, just tank LBs.
What?
It was we had the raid wide before Enrage.
He felt so bad.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It was an honest mistake, but yeah. Then we pulled it again and died. But
yeah, I think in that same poll we had discussed holding in case we needed tank LB like a few minutes prior because we didn't we were past law of the whatever and we didn't know what the end was. So we said hold in case tank LB, but and then when he said send LB, he was just like, okay. just
I was about to hit it because I felt like that might have happened, and I was like literally pressing the button in my VOD about to LB, and then I hear the tank LB go off.
And then we wipe.
And then all of us watching in despair as the dark wall goes up, and all of us went, oh no.
Wait, it was an OB3?
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay. All right.
As the tank LB3 on the Enrage cast, we were like, no shot.
Well, no, it hit the AoE before. It did hit the AoE that comes before the enrage, but it was still like it was there, and we were just like, it was really. He felt really bad. We cleared it. I think a pull later anyway, so it was fine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you would do.
yeah, no, it was not for the sticks. The sticks might have made sense for that because sticks fucking hurts, but no, it was on the basic raid wide. The Eunomia, I think. It's
yeah. Eunomia.
Speaking of raid wides, this whole tier had a pretty common theme of body checks after mechanics.
Yeah.
Sticks was one of them because it's a split damage, and then the Theos' Ultima in Doorboss as well did damage based on how many people were alive. It was the same as the relativities, right?
Yeah.
It's essentially a split damage raid wide. So putting that after limit cut is cruel, by the way. So you don't even get to see
cruel.
Super Chain. Yeah. But no, they did that a few times throughout this tier, which I'm okay with. Although a couple times limping through, you're like, have we missed something? Is there a codex? Why did this raid wide do 500,000 damage? But it's literally just 8 alive.
We figured it. I think we survived with like 3 people, and oh no, we survived with 2 people, and I took like 450k, and I was like, okay, we need everyone alive for that. There's no reason that does 450k unless, it's splitting the damage. So yeah,
Unless you got to bring Tank LB3 through.
No, Tank LB3 would do like 1 million if it was like if everyone was alive and you didn't have it, like it wouldn't just do.
Yeah.
I think we had a pull where only a healer survived, and it did 900k or something. So like we had like enough data points. That we
yeah,
saw
data
that.
points.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But I think this tier will hold up fairly well. I mean, the PF is always its own disaster because like people who want to do it and clear it quickly then stop doing it. But this is I have to bring this point up. This tier needs to be unlocked way sooner than the fucking previous tiers because you now need that lifeblood for this tier, or it is going to be a fucking disaster doing 9 a couple months from now, doing limit cut, doing blitzball. 3 months from now, 5 months. If you do not have the lifeblood that is people just being bored and wanting to do the tier because it's unlocked, it's gonna be a fucking disaster. But it's not gonna happen. So see you in 9 months.
Smile.
When are we expecting things to be? Do we have any tentative dates in mind for expansion?
After FanFest,
Oh,
right?
like June of next year would be the expansion at the earliest.
It's a year. Oh.
Well, let me lay out the timeline.
Find another game to play.
Yeah. October is most likely 6.5. That follows the 19-week schedule that they now have between patches. Another 8 weeks would put December as the final story patch for 6.55. And then you normally have about 4 months after that, but because I think it's reasonable enough to expect they wouldn't go for an April release, I think at that point you're better off predicting the 6-month total instead of the 4-month total. So, because the last FanFest is in January, then they'll have to do media tour. They'll probably have some other live letter before that. So, yeah, I think June is the reasonably earliest guess. And I think they want it back in the summer anyway. Like, I genuinely just think they want summer timing.
I'm blanking on how quickly Asfidel Savage came out after expansion dropped.
4 weeks.
Was it 4 weeks after?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks for normal. 4
2
weeks
is normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So technically another month. We'd
be looking at like July Savage, right?
Yeah. The good news is you do have Blue Mage. You do have Blue Mage coming up if you're interested in that. You do have the next
Criterion.
Yeah, you have Criterion. 2 Criterions left. We know there's a bonus trial with Asura. We don't know if that's going to have an extreme or anything.
Is that the thing that they showed would be at FanFest?
Yeah, Asura.
Yes.
Yeah. And in case anyone hasn't been paying attention.
What do we think that is? Is that a story trial?
That's Hildebrand. They've already hinted at it in Hildebrand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They literally, like, in 6.3's Hildebrand, they talk about the lady and, like, the favors they're doing for her, like the great lady or something. So, almost certainly a Hildebrand trial.
Dude, you know what they should do? They should just make Ultimates Blue Mageable. That'd give me a year's worth of content.
Yeah, Blue Woo, Blue Cobb. Yeah.
That'd be so fun.
They said they don't want to, and I hate it.
And we can get the Shadowkeeper mount. Fuck yeah.
No, I'm telling you, it's gonna be the Titan ATV from from the next patch. Please make it the Titan ATV. A Morbol is cool. I want the Titan ATV.
Morbol is very cool.
But it's so funny about them ruining the prestige of Ultimates. Like, A, no one cares. B, it already barely matters. and C, the people who did it normally are the ones who want to do it with Blue Mage.
Mm-hmm.
So they got nothing.
Yep.
They just don't want to balance it. I think they're worried about balancing it. In
But-
all honesty.
Or
Ucob was killed with over 100 deaths.
That's
They
fucking
don't need to balance shit.
Or they can finally get back to the question that I asked Yoshi P during the media tour. The true end game of the Unreal system is to unreal the old ultimates and make them level 90 with proper
Yeah.
checks.
And then force people to go in there with like 430 gear. Or what is it? It's
530 right
530?
now, yeah.
535, I think, is the eye level sync. It's bad.
Yep.
I sure
no,
I
I
love
think-
my skill speed in Unreal.
Retuned level 90 ultimates would be awesome. That'd be so
Yeah.
fun.
That would be very, very good.
Sly, when are you doing Ultimate?
When I get people I trust.
All right, when are you finding those people? You can find them.
Send out the bat signal. Sly
Oh,
Cobb.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that our seasonal cob?
Sly
Whoops.
Cobb.
That's,
Yep.
that's the seasonal cob. Like we have seasonal cobs. We had Rich stripping and next Sly.
Yep.
Sly
The thing
Cobb,
is-
oh God.
You should probably do it as a send off to your job as well.
True.
Oh my God.
Enjoy
So that's
enjoy the god tierness of Dragoon and UCob.
If you do it next expansion, people are going to say it was harder on Old Dragoon. Right? So you have to do it this expansion
Fact.
now. Yeah.
We used to have this button called elusive jump. It sent us back.
They're not getting rid of elusive. There's no way they're getting rid of elusive.
Nah, they're gonna give us 2 charges. Is what they're gonna do.
Yes, exactly. They are. They're gonna get rid of Spine Shatter and
and they're
just make
gonna
you turn
get rid of
around.
Life Surge. They're gonna give us a defensive.
right,
They're gonna
hold
give
on.
us
No, you're not
unique
getting the defensive.
GCDs during life windows.
What if they just make it so when you press life, you get a shield on top of it?
That would not fucking help.
Exactly. It's just
The
like
problem is that
it's just like
some-
life. It's just like life surge. It's like it's there, but you know. But I'm
You
saying
have
like
to
that's
use
what
it for damage.
we're getting Ring of Thorns back too. Yeah, it's gonna be
And we're also
Awesome.
removing the magic defense stat on all their armor as well, so they can start dying to raid waves again.
Cool.
Yeah. Love
and,
the
and,
second
and
foil.
changing
putting the
blood for
damage-
blood, yeah.
They're putting the vulnerability back on blood for blood.
Oh,
I like how it's one giant reversion into 2.4.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
But whatever you
it's
do,
just ARR Dragoon.
if they bring back heavy thrust, I'm out. I'm gone. That's it.
Position
That's my one
requirement.
condition.
You play Reaper.
Where-
I'm surprised. 'Cause
I
just-
hate Reaper because of that. That's
Okay.
why I don't play it.
All right. I remember when you wanted to play it at some point, and then you pressed
Yeah.
that button a few times, and you
And then
didn't wanna
I
play
pressed
it.
Death's Design, and I was like, wow, this is just old Dragoon. This kind of fucking sucks.
You mean you didn't like missing heavy thrust and not getting the damage buff?
That was cool.
No, that's true. You wouldn't have even known that because you didn't really start raiding until way
I mean,
after that was
I
in the
played
game.
casually like since the beginning of Heavensward, but I never raided till Shadowbringers. So
Yeah, that's fair.
I know the phlebotomize combo. Don't. Yep.
Combo.
Oh yeah, when you were leveling as a Dragoon way back in the day, your
Yeah. Now it's
your
impulse drive.
rotation on an enemy was phlebotomize.
Yeah.
Heavy thrust, phlebotomize.
Yeah. No, I remember. Yeah, because then it became impulse drive until
Yep.
26. Yeah, that's so.
Mhm.
There you go.
And then you're like, I have to level Marauder? What the fuck is this? How do I do
I like how this just became boomer chat instead of Anabasios chat.
every time?
Yeah, that's true every time. Thanks, Sly. Sly wanted to end the show on his Dragoon depression, and we're like, no, we're dragging you through it.
Yep. I'll make it worse
So,
first.
yeah, good show, friends, good show. Yeah.
Sly, I can't wait for our 7.0 job discussion, State of the Realm. I can't wait. I just want you to know that.
It's gonna be awesome.
I got big plans. I'm gonna get
Is
only,
it?
I'm gonna get only Dragoon and Astro players on this show for that one.
Oh my god, please.
That's
No,
gonna be
when
the
you
most
do
annoying
when you do the
fucking
Dragoon
show
show,
ever.
When you do the
That's gonna be the
Dragoon
most
show,
annoying show ever because I'm fucking boomer as shit about fucking Astro, and Happy knows that shit.
you gotta get me, Jitter, and Soviet Hammer in a VC when the new update drops.
Oh fuck, that is gonna be the like. Oh shit.
I just. Oh, what a fucking show that's gonna be. See you in a year. If you're not a permanent Destiny 2 player by then.
Yeah, you guys want to learn how to do Destiny raids? They're actually really fun.
No,
No,
I'm gonna go play the Final Fantasy 16 demo for the 73rd
No.
time.
I'm on D4.
You want me
I'm
to
on D4 right
describe
now.
to you what Destiny rating now is in terms of Final Fantasy 14?
Can I tell
Imagine-
you what? Can I tell you what my Destiny rating experience was prior to this conversation?
Go ahead.
Okay, so there's this boss at the end of Vault of Glass, and I pushed him off, and I've now beaten the hardest raid.
Yep, that's about how it goes. But
that how
also,
it is?
the funny part is, here's how it would go in Final Fantasy terms. Someone would be like, hey, does anybody have a Palace Athena checkpoint?
Oh, the fucking
someone's like-
checkpoint.
And then
shit.
someone's like, oh, yeah, I got one. Oh, can I have it real quick? And you both, two of you load into the Palace Athena, you wipe, and then you're like, thanks. And then you leave, and then you and your static do Palace Athena, and then you clear the raid for the week. Without doing
that's-
9, 10, or 11.
That's a Realm Reborn rating, like literally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we checked. Yeah, we did a lot of
Actually
checkpoint
is.
rating. Yeah, we did a lot of
Yeah.
skipping the first
Yep.
3 fights in that. Yeah, just
Yep.
asking for the 4th fight. I mean, yeah, you could do that. Yeah, that's checkpoint.
And then
coverage.
there was checkpoint skipping ads and stuff as well because there was trash back there. Yeah, that literally
Yeah, you
existed.
could. Yeah, that's another thing. You could actually checkpoint past fucking ads back then, but we can't checkpoint past these fucking bosses for more than the instance length.
Fucking Raflasia.
Yeah.
Sending
Oh my
the
God.
ninja on the scouting mission past Indogoods ads. That was
Yeah.
always good.
Yeah. I was that ninja.
Oh god,
yeah.
that was. Oh man.
Final Fantasy players like get banned for opening their desynth menu during a raid. Bungie introduces a bug where a gun will just randomly accidentally one-shot the hardest boss in the game instantly, and then Bungie goes, "Oh, we'll fix that next week. Go ahead." And then everybody just is like, "Okay," and then just bam, like farm the boss like 10,000 times. It's so dumb.
That'd be like if Unger Max they did the same thing. Like Unger just for a week they're like, oh, all right, have your fun.
No.
Oh no, but they banned people for that.
Yeah.
And my favorite part about that whole debacle was when they came out and said, "Oh, we know of 2 or 3 groups who tried to do UCOB using Ungo Max, but none of them was successful." So they used Ungo Max and they still couldn't beat it. Yeah.
One last story before we finally wrap the show, since we're doing boomer talks right now. Back in Second Coil, there was a group on Sargatanas, I believe. And their guild randomly had cleared 6, 7, and 8 within about 40 minutes of each other on the first week.
Oh,
And we found out that they had positionally hacked their Z-axis and just stood above the boss and just shot it until it died. And they got banned. There was literally like a hot fix notice. It was like, oh, we fixed these bugs, blah, blah, blah. By the way, we also banned 8 people. It's just like in a random like hot fix in
Holy.
Second Coil. Yeah, and then their house was available. Awesome. As that
Oh,
was,
great.
because their whole FC got banned because that was their whole FC. So that's a fun little Sargatanas boomer story for you. Good lore. Good history.
Demolition.
you remember at the beginning of Shadowbringers when Ruin 4 on Summoner did like fucking 1,000 times more damage than it was supposed to, and it was on an infinite, like you didn't have to get the
Yep.
buff to use it, you just press it over and over again.
Yep.
Well, that was not something you could do natively to the game. That was nefarious methods to do that.
Sfia
one.
knows a lot about that. Sfia was on a mission.
I only saw
to
the
find
logs,
those-
so I don't
Yeah.
know what actually happened, but I was like, this dude pressed Ruin 4 800 times during this poll?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Was that the same
What
one
is
who
this-
did the spell speed thing with Black Mage, Sfia? Because I remember you going off about that. The one where they were like, we're just way faster than any casts that were possible.
Yeah. So that guy had like dozens of reports on him over the years on the forums and stuff, and he finally got banned for win trading and PvP.
Oh
So
my god.
Not for the spell speed thing.
no, absolutely not.
Not for,
I
like-
don't know if it was him or not, but there was a lot of the old Ruin 4 people going on. But God, Shadowbringers Summoner, what a time!
Don't worry. It'll be different again next expansion anyway.
This, what I just said, is going to be you guys a year from now.
It all comes back to Dragoon. Maybe you'll get a wyvern pet. Who knows?
Maybe.
You shut your whore mouth.
Please no pet.
Final Fantasy 11 players be like, maybe now is the time I get the wyvern.
No.
It's okay. It won't be an actual pet. It'll sit there and do nothing like the carbuncle because you're going to be just like Summoner anyway. And then you'll summon a bigger dragon that will do one attack and go away. And then the small wyvern will come back and do nothing again, except give you a shield whenever you press Life of the Dragon.
Yep. Outside of, like, immediately after a raid wide or when nothing's happening, of course.
So that means we're getting skill chains too?
Sure.
Well, I mean, you kind of have them with your weapons. Like the five weapon skills is kind of that in a sense, if you think about it, you know?
No, chaining off of somebody else.
Oh, no. We had that in 1.0. You don't want that as well. We had the fucking battle regiments in 1.0. You don't want that. It's bad. Bad times. Oh, anyway, let's actually end the show now. Whoops wants to go play Destiny.
Boomer talk.
Whoops wants to go play Destiny too.
I gotta go into this tier we're just talking about. I'm playing Scholar.
Oh
no, that's good. You have the soil, so you're safe. Yeah, you're good. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Sly, for running the helm of this show, even if we ran it a bit abroad here at the end. Appreciate it, and thank you both for coming on the show to have this fun little discussion about Anabasios and all that stuff. I'm glad.
Thanks for having me again.
You sound surprised. You're like, thanks.
Yeah, they invited me back.
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
I'll raid with you, but State of the Realm, absolutely not. Anyway.
Oh no, I'd love to be on here more.
All right.
Yeah. See, he's not fold.
No, we're never having Fold on the show. Sly, we've been over this a million times. Fold's never come.
Yeah, I know.
I'm never allowing it.
I've come to terms with that.
And he's come to terms with everything. So I don't want. It's not a good. It's not good. I want to stay on the air, Sly, and Twitch is cracking down and shit. I don't want it. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching as well. Let's sign off. Whoops. Let's tell everyone what you got going on, where they can find you, all that good stuff.
You can find me on things as Whoops, WOOPS, and I just do stuff, and that's all.
Great.
Great talk.
Oh,
yeah.
Great talk. One little
sidebar. I have a new favorite image of that was from your video.
Yeah, go if you want to see funny Mr. Happy drawings. Go to my YouTube channel, I guess. It's my favorite recurring.
Not for the other 8 minutes of the Destiny 2 stuff that's in there, but for the one "fuck you" and Mr. Happy flipping off the camera. Yeah, go watch that. I watched the whole thing and then I'm like, oh god, is there another one? Is there another one? There it is every time. Thank you again for joining us. Whoops.
No problem.
And I'll be seeing you tomorrow, of course.
Is it? Oh, yeah.
Today is Friday. Tomorrow will be our 4.5 hour raid day, yes.
Oh, yeah. Easy. In and out.
In and out. 15 minutes. Sfia, thanks for waking up at 5 a.m. and then having a coffee like a maniac.
Yeah, it wasn't waking up. That was staying awake.
Jesus.
Things are bad, okay? Diablo 4 has done things to me. You can find me on as Sfia on Twitch, FFSfia on Twitter. I haven't been streaming much recently. A lot of real life stuff going on, but I will be picking that back up. If I do stream in the next week or so, it's probably going to be Diablo 4. If after that though, we got 16 coming out, so I'm going to be slamming that. So if you don't like watching Happy play that because he's too good at it, watch me. Because I'm going to suck. I've played the demo once. I'm not going to touch it again. I didn't do the iconic challenge because I'm going to be awful all the way through. That's the plan.
It's a good plan.
By the way, are you World 3 or World 4 right now? In Diablo.
Oh, I've been 100 for like a week.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
He got to 100 in like 2 days, man. He literally
You
stayed
know
up
who
for
you're
like,
talking to?
He literally stayed up
God.
for 30 hours. You don't understand that Sfia is I will die before I finish this. I will either finish this game or die first. One of the two will happen with everything.
Yeah.
I was playing Harvestella religiously and he beat me by like 3 days finishing it. It was ridiculous.
A good game. That was a really good game, actually.
It sure was, and you fucking finished like an 80-hour game in 4 days. There's not a whole lot of hours to spare.
That was actually really long. But yeah, I did spend a lot of time on that game, and D4 is a time sink. I'm hoping that it carries me over to 16 release. God, dude, I'm so looking forward to it. So looking forward to it.
Sly, speaking of Diablo 4, since I know you're imbibing on that, what do you got going on?
Apparently not like Sfia. Jesus Christ. You can find me at twitch.tv/Sly, aka Gray Fox. You can find me on Twitter at Sly the Fox. As far as like what I have coming up, my birthday is coming up, July 3rd. The pre-birthday party will be on July 1st, since that's first Saturday. However, for my birthday, I decided to do something kind of unique. Because normally I could just fuck around in 14 or whatever game and just, play a game, drink, make some food, happy birthday, yada, yada, yada. But this year I wanted to do something special. I wanted to, because the 14 category is growing ever so steadily on Twitch. And I wanted to kind of highlight, some of the newer 14 creators or some of the old creators, no matter what size. So I plan on doing an all-day interview-a-thon, I guess. And I have a form up for it. So if you want to sign up for it, there's the form in the tweet. It doesn't matter what size you are. I don't give a shit. I'm just an old man. I want somebody to talk to. That's it. And that's what I'm going to be doing for my birthday. So there you go. Feel free to sign up for that. And yeah, it's pretty much what I got going on. Just a bunch of planning. Haps, what about you? What's going on with you?
Come on now. As if you don't know. Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
I have played through the demo over 70 times at this point. Unlike me.
How long does it take now that you've done it a bunch of times?
So every time I try to practice some specific skill so I don't speed through them. Parrying was the most recent one, because the parry is very specific in 16. Parrying being when weapons clash and time slows down, not a block or a dodge of any kind. So probably like 20 minutes if I really wanted to. I could go faster than that, way faster than that, but I could do it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm also talking about the iconic challenge.
Right. I thought you were talking about the story.
Oh, no, the story.
Like
if I skip the cutscenes, that'll take about. Oh yeah, probably about 20 minutes if I skip the cutscenes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of cutscenes in the first couple hours of the game, so very, very story dense. And not to mention that if you just hold down the touchpad, it'll give you active lore on every element in the cutscene at any point. If you're ever confused or forget about something. And maybe things you didn't even know you wanted to know, and thus they might be important later. So always bear that in mind in every single cutscene. There's some pretty random ones in there that you're like, with certain elements, like some sort of passing thing is said, and it's just like, you press it, and all of a sudden there's like backstory on it, and you're like, oh, okay. Would highly advise that. Yeah, I'm going to play that game a lot. For those who don't know, Devil May Cry is my second favorite franchise of all time. And I have spent I spent 400 hours on Devil May Cry 5, I think.
Sheesh.
Approximately. Yeah. So I played these games a little bit from time to time. And then Armored Core 6 comes out in a couple months. Oh, yeah. Give me that Armored Core, the new gameplay.
I actually forgot to mention one thing. This weekend, my very good buddy Skull is doing Shadowbringers in its entirety in the weekend in one long stream. So if you're somebody who enjoys watching somebody else do like the good story parts of the game, he's doing the entire thing this weekend. So you can see him in the category all weekend. I'd go say hi to him.
Pretty funny.
He is a funny dude, and he hasn't done Shadowbringers yet, and he wants to get all the way up through it, so he's doing a 48-hour Shadowbringers marathon.
Skullbringers,
yep.
There you go. I like it. If you want to drop his link, you can.
Sure.
In the chat. Might as well. But yeah, that's gonna be a wrap for our show. We'll do a very short post show so everyone can be on their way and do whatever they got to do. I know I'm hungry. No gym for me today, but I am hungry. There you go. Skull Link. So, thank you everyone for joining us for this fun little discussion on Anabasios. We will have absolutely no fucking chance of a show next week. Negative 500% of a fucking chance of there being a show next week. Because 16 will be out, and I don't know when you'll see me again. That's just the bottom line. I just don't know. So, I mean, you'll see me every day, but not here. Everywhere else, but not here. No, not a fucking chance. So,
wouldn't it specifically be here?
I mean, like on State of the Realm, no.
Oh, okay, but
you won't see me here. You'll see me
continue.
On the other screen where I'm in the bottom left corner, and the game is on the screen. There you go. So yeah, you'll see. Yeah, listen, don't fucking poke holes in my logic. We're ending the show. All right. How about that? All right, everyone. We'll see you when we see you. Till then.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
See you soon.